Okay, I'm incredibly unwell, and this is video number, or answer my supporters' questions, a video, or supporters' concerns, video 21. I've already made videos 19 and 20, and I'm going to try to address these concerns in a succinct way in this video. And there's some things in here, and again, I'm incredibly weak, and I'm incredibly that I'm, when I get weakened like this by these stress impacts, I've been pounded to death. Their words are killing me, and I'm going to explain to you why. That their words are all over this. This set of concerns right here. This is this right here. These in particular, these are designed for their purposes. And this leads me to believe that not a single one of these were authored entirely independently of talks with them. Of course, they could be smuggling stuff in, and I'm not criticizing people. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm just emphasizing the incredible importance of some things here. That again, I've said this now for 1,400 posts, something like that, in this thread of this murder in progress. This is what this thread right here is. This is the murder in progress. And what I've consistently said is that I want them out of the picture. I want them to stop being able to write input, period. And I'll explain to you here why that is. I'll give you another example. And that I don't say that for no reason. They are killing me. They're killing me. Their input, that I cannot let stuff like this. It kills me to see it. Stuff like this and stuff like the rest of these concerns that come up here. And I'll explain to you these. And of course, if these are your authentic concerns, I'll be addressing these regardless and speaking to those. But one thing we must do, we've got to. I'm being murdered. There's not 100% guarantee that I'm going to survive tonight. If their words, I'm going to enter the scene rapidly in the next several days. I get a barrage of their words. It's going to kill me. That you will notice here, it's been several around June 11th. Around that rough time, and around that day, in that rough time period, I start saying these people are going to kill me, that they're going to die, their words have to be cut off, that I've been saying this forever, and you cut their words off, you kick them out, and it's instantaneous. My well-being is restored. Okay, it's restored on the condition that their words are out of the picture. Okay, it's not like that I bounce back into a condition of being fresh like I was born yesterday, like I'm Superman, or like I was, earlier in this fight, before I've been subjected to this. Again, it's a murder in progress. You'll see here that again, there's a signal, there's a noise, and the signal is the main metric of my well-being that should be managed, should be monitored, is to what extent are their words being allowed on the scene. And anything above zero is going to be problematic for my well-being, for my life, for me continuing to exist as a living creature. This horrifying cruelty of murder that I've described will become a reality, and it will be something that lasts for decades. And again, I don't know that this could possibly be a concern that emerges organically. I don't address this in detail, but the way that these right here, all of this serve their interests, is suggested of their influence or their direct words. And it may be that they're just smuggling stuff in here, but I'm going to have to stop getting these concerns in this manner, but because it's causing me more harm than good. And I know your general concerns, and I'm going to set up some options for us. And of course, if you want to go through them, I've got a system that'll work to talk directly to them. But what has to be done is that they have to be cut out. Their words have to be cut out. And I'll explain to you how this works. That it's not like, to the extent you've been talking to them some more in any capacity, because again, they're incredible. They've got their PR people on this. Okay, they are running a strategy. They're running an operation. They are never, ever, ever. There's engineering behind everything that they do. I guarantee you. And this right here is indicative of this, particularly in the case that these are concerns that you endorsed. And again, I want to make a distinction between your organically emerging concerns that just happen on your own accord, totally independent of any discussions with them, any inferences by them, any insinuations, any suggestions, anything. Okay, well, those concerns that just organically emerge, and those that emerge as a process of speaking with them that are more like you kind of form concerns on the basis of what they say or with their input because it's sensible or something like this that again wherever these, and of course I never know they're smuggling stuff in, and I'll explain and I'm not being mean, I'm not being mean and cruel to anybody, I'm not trying to disparage anyone. Okay, but again, I'm very attuned to the way these people work, and the way that this is like engineered for their purposes. This is engineered. I mean, period. And it seems to me like impossible that their influence is not in this. Which again, if they're smuggling this in, this is part of it. And that's the thing is that I got to get my supporters' concerns, and to do that, and I've got some more here. I've got more bubbles of concerns I'll be going over. But to do that, I've got to go to this torture machine that's going to do this kind of bullshit, and then they're back to more behavior analysis over here, unendingly. And again, I'm going to die, and so it's a very very crucial, okay, because this becomes a vector point for them to attack and for them to ruminate on when I'm being murdered, and we're talking about my social media posts. And I do not discount your concerns. I'll be addressing this right here. I'll be addressing this right here. And then from now, what I'm going to ask is the stuff about my social media posts has to go out the window totally. My social media posts and the hyper focus on my social media post, the hyper focus on my political views, the hyper focus on every little inconsistency I've had, which is not inconsistency. Okay, they've been doing this forever, and they're following exactly the same playbook that I said they were going to follow before you were on the scenes back in post 103. And again, we're approaching post 1600 here. And so I want to read this. I'm going to read this aloud here. Read this. And here, see here. First, I'm going to go down to show you what post this is. Post 102 or 103. 103. 102. Okay, good. Okay. I'm advising my secondary requirement supporters. This is a horrible situation, and it is also easiest situation to fix if people would just go along with me. When these people talk to you, they're overwhelmingly, quite likely exclusively, trying to serve their own interests with no concern for you or the truth. One main tactic is to try to make this whole thing about me, things I've said, the vices in my character, and so forth. They do this through things like, look at what he said, or see, he's lying, or he's just out for money. He just sent us a demand for $25 billion. Okay, this is the type of thing to say. And I say, the normal human tendency is just to engage with what people say. As people, we do not unpack the psychology, the linguistics, and the sleight of hand, so to speak, of what people say to us. This can get you in trouble with people who are very skilled and well-versed in different communication techniques, psychology, and so forth. Their statements may contain deliberately constructed, atypical linguistic structures that have been designed to produce a certain effect. Okay, when you engage with a statement that says, he's just out for money, he just sent us a demand for $25 billion, you inherently accept the notion that this is about me, not about them. Okay, I won't go over that because it's something that it's kind of a meaty sentence there that I just said. Okay, but when they contact, just for instance, I'm not saying that they've said this one to you, but this is an example of how this works. That they come to you and say, look at this. This guy's just out for money. Okay, he just sent us a demand for $25 billion, which, by the way, I've never sent them a demand for $25 billion. I sent them offers for what I settled for in the past of varying amounts that were in the handful of millions, just a tiny number of millions of dollars, some of these, or a handful of millions. I sent $3 billion, which I described as pennies on the dollar. I sent an offer for $10 billion. I said that I was qualified for is $10 billion. This is back in 2022, 2023, years like that. $10 billion. I sent some other ones that are in between $3 billion and $10 billion. And then there was one time that I sent them a thing where I would not settle for anything less than $50 billion. And I will tell them to go to hell, and I will not shake their hand or something along these lines. And that was after they'd contacted my little woman in the Philippines and lied to her and ran her off. I was just pissed off. Okay. But when they say this, okay, he's just out for money. He just sent us a man for $25 billion. Okay. When you engage with his statements, okay, you inherently make this about, if you say anything other than, I don't care about that. What do you know? There's nothing I don't know, but I'm just out for. Why is it relevant that I'm just out for money? And how is it substantiated when I send a man for $25 billion that I'm just out for money? Okay, there's two questions. How is this? There's all kinds of stuff to be unpacked here. I just sent a demand for $25 billion. And I'm just giving you an example here. You have no idea the background of that. They're not going to tell you, or they're going to deliberately mislead you. Okay, so how does that say that I'm just out for money? Okay, and what's wrong with being just out for money when a $2 trillion bank has you kidnapped and terrorizes you for years? Okay, well, what if I'm out for money and prison time, and I'm not going to get prison time, and so I just settle for money? Okay, there's all kinds of stuff wrong with this, but the main thing that's wrong with this is, the main thing is wrong with this when people engage with this is not that they fail to do the analysis and looked at this critically, it's that they've engaged with this at all. Okay, because this is a murder in progress, as you'll see that I say, and it's supposed to look like this. This is a murder in progress happening in real time. This is me being tortured, terrorized, and abused by these people that for one, engaging with them with anything concerning this is like assuming they can be objective. This is not a debate. This is not a debate over some ambiguous issue. This is them perpetrating an enormous crime spree against me. Okay, there's an inherent lack of objectivity in being them because they're facing massive consequences for their actions. Okay, they've been consistently engaged with dishonesty. They've committed crimes, all kinds of crimes that, for one, just engage with these people at all, as if they're objective at all, if they're going to be a source of anything other than things that saying things that serve their interests is mistaken. Okay, very, very, very clear. And of course, the way they operate, it doesn't seem that way, but it's just part of the facts of the situation. The fundamentals disappear, no matter how people. And again, I have no idea to what extent you're engaging with them. And it's like I'm chastising you or anything like that. I'm incredibly good for you. You're an incredible blessing, for my life, in my life. You saved my life, and I do think that it's very, very, very pretty likely my life will be saved again. I do have confidence that I won't again when I ask for these people to go, they're going to be gone. And I may not have made it clear enough. Of course, there's all kinds of stuff to pay attention to. You got a life to live. You got your own life, and you've got all kinds of circumstances. And I put out a lot of text, and there's a lot of noise in there. There's a lot of noise, and there's a lot of other signals that signal other things. For the signal to get lost in the signal that's about what's going to make me well in this situation and what's going to help me. And that signal right there, the signal that's buried in all these words that's consistently in there. If you look at my post, you'll see again for 1,400 posts, we're going to post 102 right here, and I'm giving them their playbook about how they're going to make this about me. They're going to use deliberately constructed linguistic structures, and like these rhetorical techniques and other things that I've showed you. I give their exact playbook right here, and this exact playbook of a murder in progress is what is unfolded. Make the whole thing about me, the things I've said, my character vices. Okay, here are my character vices. There's the vices of my character. I'm not trustworthy. I'm a pretender. Things I've said, things I've said, and so forth. Okay, but that when they say stuff like this, and this is what I'm talking about, these subtle and sophisticated communication techniques, this is very subtle. This doesn't have the appearance of anything out of the ordinary whatsoever. Look at what he said. He's just out for money. He just transferred the man for $25 billion. Okay, this is a perfectly innocuous sentence in and of itself. It's taken decontextualized from what we're dealing with here. Okay, that if it was something where they had failed to pay me overtime for 4 weeks or something due to some error, and we've got a dispute over whether they're responsible or something like this, then this could be a valid point if I did send them, in the instance I sent them a demand for this. Okay, but here this is just it's inherently the sophistication in this. Okay, the subtlety in this is the way that it just sounds like a normal sentence, but the sophistication is it immediately makes this about me. Okay, this is incredibly productive for getting a dialogue started that starts to highlight my character flaws, my character vices, my bad opinions, my greed, my lust, my whatever they want to bring up about this. That in other words, the normal human tendency is to engage with what people say. Well, we don't unpack it for what kind of bullshit's embedded, because we're not used to people embedding bullshit and stuff like this. And it's incredibly subtle, but it's definitely deliberate. And this is not something they've used that I'm aware of. Of course, they have used this. He's out for billions in damages. I guarantee you, they've used that against people to try to pressure against people against me. And there's all kinds of problems with that. One is, first, so it's like, I'm sending them emails of verbalizing. I'm sending text-based communications And this is, they use this to turn people against me and stuff like this, that this is not inherently bad. There's all kinds of stuff wrong with that, but let me go back here. You just engage with what people say. So what's going to happen if somebody engages with this? He just offered money. This is a man for $25 billion. And say they got a receipt of the email or something like this. And this is going to, they'll say, well, $25 billion. Okay, well, he's really been hurt. Maybe they say he's really been hurt. He's really, really stressed about this. And of course, now this is not outrageous at all, because ChatGPT has given quotes that put this in the range. Oh, okay, 25 billion. Why is he doing that? Okay, and then just the natural progression of this conversation is going to be all about me, and it's going to open up a million vectors for them to make this about me, as they have just done again, or attempted to do, in what they've done with these concerns. However these concerns have been formed, it's incredibly hard to believe that their influence is not in them. And if their influence is not in them, again, I want to address them. I want to explain to you some things that will help us have a better process here. That these concerns are making this very, very much about me. Okay, this is their playbook. This is their playbook. Like in its like an unambiguous form, but this is what I'm talking about. Okay, this can get you in trouble, just engaging with them that have been designed to produce a certain effect. Okay, it's about me, not about them, because again, we're in a situation where they've committed unbelievably serious crimes against me. They're torturing me in real time. My medication's been tampered with again. Okay, for sure, no doubt whatsoever. What's the relevance of this in a circumstance where they've committed an ungodly series of crimes that I have got definitive evidence for? Okay, well, what's the relevance of this? When I'm being murdered, when I've been subjected to hundreds of crimes, felony crimes, state crimes, civil law violations, the matter at hand is their crimes, and what are they going to do about them? How are they going to be punished? What are they going to voluntarily impose on themselves to make this right? It's about me getting justice. Back to this. So again, they're going to make this about me. And here's the thing. This is not a debate about me. This is a historic atrocity of human rights abuses, torture, crime, and widespread institutional failure, complicity, and abuse. Okay, what dollar amounts are verbalized or typed by the man who has been tortured for 6 years is a non sequitur, total non sequitur. It just doesn't belong. It doesn't follow. They've committed an historic atrocity of human rights abuses, torture, crime, widespread institutional failure, complicity, and abuse. And from that, when they piggyback on that, and I verbalized, as a person who suffered 6 years of continuous torture, I verbalized a settlement amount of any amount has nothing to do. It's not relevant at all to the matter at hand. Okay, well, what does anything that I verbalize have anything to do, with this and things, like this? It's a total. Okay, and here we go. The matter at hand is how we're going to address this historic atrocity of abuse and crimes at an absolutely epic scale that involve the use of unfathomably bad stressors to terrorize a handicapped man, that involve criminal law enforcement authorities and regulators forwarding sin to them by a victim of atrocities to the criminals who abused him. We don't care if Anne Frank demoralized a man for $25 billion. A statement made by the people who did this to me that I have verbalized X demand for X amount of dollars is not a decisive point that indicates that the people who mercilessly abused and tortured me should get off scot-free and then be allowed to resume torturing me to death. I ask that you please do not entertain any statements about me. After they are made to pay for their historic atrocities, we can have a separate tribunal that concerns any and all of my character vices, war earns that I have made, and or that I have been representing as having made by people who have tortured me for years. Okay, this is not about my petty vices. This is not about offensive things that I have said that I have been said to have done by people who so offensive things that I've been said to have done by people who have committed horrible crimes against me. They are not objective. They cannot be objective. They further know exactly what they're doing when they say things like he just finessed a man for $25 billion. They are relentless, and they will try tactics on you to no end, as they have with you. My most recent supporter, also my first and second group of primary, my first group of primary supporters, they ran a master plan on them. They didn't try repeated tactics. They fucking poured $1 gazillion into an enterprise of siege Okay, but my second primary was that they pounded them to death with bullshit tactics until they wore out. You got this presentation. There was always, with a little cold error is inexhaustible. Anytime they make this about me, please just ignore, don't engage. And that's what they do. When they make this about me, don't ignore, just ignore, don't engage. You have to have some vigilance about these people. When you engage with them, as you normally engage with people, you end up being snafu'd by their sleight of hand. As opposed to nonstop vigilance, the easiest thing to do is to stick to the heart of the matter and nothing else. We are here to decide what is going to be done to have these people held accountable for their atrocities. The relevant elements are their atrocities and the consequences they will face. Okay, here I am. I'm continuing. When they diverge from the atrocities and the consequences they'll face, just cut them off. That's the easiest thing to do. If you keep having it will keep you from having unpack the sleight of hand and bullshit they try to run on you. Okay, here at the most prison time and institutional reform, in prison time, including life in prison for numerous actors. Okay, civil damages, punitive damages for a company. Okay, this is a gazillion here. What's it going to cost for these people to pay their shareholders money to have them curtail their behavior when they go for these crimes like this? The end of careers of numerous journalists who have been involved in crimes here, have been involved in unethical abuses. They're certainly criminals. Some of these people, plans and executed abuses of me, and the preservation of an accurate historical record of these atrocities. Okay, by the paper records, particularly Emily Flitter, who you will notice here, I deleted her account, and I do believe that she was overwhelmed when she realized what a horrible thing that she had done. This is about people betraying me. This is about fraud committing, about people playing trust. This is about fraud committed against the entire world. This is about generations of children being lied to. This is about the torture and murder of a kind-hearted man that is in progress in real time as of post 103, and I'm compiling a list of and I'm gonna put this on a special bookmark because this is a very, very, again, it's like if people, of course you are on the scenes then, okay, but it's like I've got a roadmap right here. If we want to save me from the teeth of murder, here's the complete guide on post 103. Okay, I've got the toolkit right here, and what we've watched unfold is exactly what I said happened. That my advice unfortunately was not followed. Where I say that they just don't engage, that people do engage, and you will see here this murder in progress, post 103 that I describe. This is about the torture and murder of kind of progress that is in progress in real time. You will see a non-stop, and you will see the progression of me getting weaker and weaker. You will see my survival biology being activated, and that's a sign when your survival biology that you start to go into a state of existential fear, existential terror, that you start to sense that you're going to be murdered. You start to sense that your mind body system starts to tell you you're going to die. That you're overwhelmed. These are all indications of somebody who's dying. You will see this. You will see me defending myself relentlessly. They make it about me, and it's been about me for 1,400 posts, 1,400 and some number of, however we do the math here, since then. Okay. Okay, so again, this is about people betraying me. This is about people betraying public trust. This is about fraud committed against the entire world. This is about generations of children being lied to. This is about the torture and murder of a kind-hearted man that is in progress in real time. Okay, and here's how their interests are reflected in this. And I'm not trying to belittle anyone or anything like this. Okay, but this is about the torture and murder of a kind-hearted man in progress. And we've got repeated concerns about my social media posts and stuff like this that are being posed, and repeated underhanded shots at my character and stuff like this. That this sergeant, and I'm not trying to belittle anyone. Please understand. Okay, and when we're about this again, this is about. Let's go again. Let's repeat this again. This is about people betraying me. Okay, and this is about the United States Department of Justice, the North Carolina Department of Justice, the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police, Atrium Health, the United States Department of Justice, or I mentioned them, the FBI, my former employer, Wells Fargo, all kinds of employees at Wells Fargo, the people who were paid to commit fraud and healthcare fraud against me, when they paid off their house. Okay, it's an egregious, the Federal Reserve, the SEC, all of these people betrayed me. This is about people betraying public trust, because when they fail to report the crimes like this and they do something to tell them, they're betraying public trust when they lie to the whole world. This is about fraud committed against the entire world. These fraudulent healthcare records that were made about me. These are not an intent to defraud me. They're fraudulent Okay, but who's the target of the fraud? Am I the target of the fraud? Of course not. I know the truth. They know that. They don't give a shit what I think. What they care about is what everybody else thinks about this, and they're running a cover-up. Okay, this was a fraud that was intended to deceive up to and including the entire world. Every single person that could potentially become aware of this matter was a target of this fraud. Okay, and that does seem to get us right to even in the present world, even there are people who are impoverished and stuff like this. It's like anybody could potentially be privy to the allegations that I've made, and if they intended to cover up with an enterprise of deliberate, very, very serious fraud that involved coordinated fraud among fraud that was coordinated and involved multiple medical doctors, multiple hospitals. This was an attempt to defraud the entire world. Okay, and this is about generations of children being lied to. This is about the New York Times. I contacted Emily Flitter, and I'm being betrayed again. I'm being betrayed by the New York Times. Okay, because they set up a hit piece to be run by Emily Flitter. Okay, and in an active, unhinged, she sends them the evidence that I sent her against them. Okay, a betrayal of my trust that I don't need the criminals to know the evidence I got against them, because when they realize how powerful it is, they're going to escalate their crimes against me, as they did. Okay, generations of children being lied to, my torture and murder, fraud committed against the entire world, betrayal of public trust, this translates in the concerns that I'm given into whether or not we can pursuing the constructive humanity-centered approach I've consistently described. I've consistently described it, so this has been one of my most stable themes. Most stable themes. I got a lot of themes. Okay, that I'm being murdered is the most stable theme. It's among those. Okay, that again, when they, and of course, this is them. They're inserting this into the picture somehow. That there's no way that when I'm being murdered and tortured right in front of you, you're going to be concerned about me. You're going to be concerned about being murdered, and that's what I'm trying to get the focus drawn to. Is your concerns. If they were optimally designed for me, and again, this is how people work, and I understand you. Okay, and again, I'm very honest with you. Is that they stop abusing me, they stop torturing and torturing me, they stop attacking my character, they stop, and again, we'll see here that they're weaseling in here. This is part of this right here, wherever this concern comes from, and maybe this is your genuine concern, and I will address this definitively, or I'll do it definitively. I'll explain to you how this works. I'll explain to you some things about this. But this right here has the potential effect, whether or not it's been intended to do this. This concern right here is to smuggle in another character attack against me, and it's already been smuggled in. These concerns that they are giving me, that again that they're making it about me. Okay, this is about whether I'll continue pursuing the constructive humanities approach that I consistently described. Now, once they've got this established as a concern that's at play in this situation. Okay, then what's the concern there? What are we going to be focusing on as a natural consequence of thinking in these terms? Are we going to be focused on, and very, very intensely focused on, the nonstop abuse that they're doing of me with their criminal tampering on medication and so on and so forth? Well, actually, with you will be focused on this. This will be something you notice for sure. Okay, but this is part of it will naturally still, though, it will take a fade in the background to some extent, not wholesale, because we got another item that we're focusing on here. We're focusing on, as I'm being tortured, as I'm dying from the stress of these people, we're focusing on whether I'm going to continue pursuing the constructive humanity-centered approach I've consistently described. Okay, so I've consistently described this. Okay, so this orients us to. So what this does is this creates a scenario where they can issue agreements that I've diverted from the constructive humanity-centered approach I've consistently described, and this becomes a debate about my character and my failure to follow through on things that I've never wholesale committed to at all. Okay, I've consistently described. Notice here, I have consistently described. It doesn't say that I have wholesale promised, committed to do, and as if any wholesale promise that I make to do in my regard to call these people is like any kind of absolute binding on anything when they're torturing me constantly. When I've been tortured, I'm a torture victim, because I had given absolute. And of course, if I did give them an absolute, I'd have to see, what they. Of course, they don't have an absolute. They would use that. But it's consistently described. This passes consistently described passes as a firm commitment by me. Okay, when you read this, you don't. This is how people read words, read sentences. They don't look at the way the whole thing's built. They don't look at the way the sentences are built. They don't look at the way at the precise word, the precision of the words being used, and they just get the feeling and what it's trying to communicate. And what this sounds like is I've committed to a constructive, humanity-centered approach. Okay, and they install a sentiment into the picture, an element into the picture that I've committed to a constructive, humanity-centered approach, which I have not. They install a false idea into the picture that that's blatantly false, and they do that by saying something that passes as literally true, and that probably is literally true. It's how do you interpret it consistently? Okay, because I've got this chat right here, as in the thousands of pages. I've got with my new chat printer application, what I have to do is print these chats or get these chats and extract the HTML one at a time. And I've got a bubble auditing system, and stuff like this. But it's absolutely insane. What I have to do. And I've got thousands and thousands of bubbles. Let me go to this chat right here. We're going to see here. This is the one I think I've got printed out. Okay, let me show you this. This is 3,145 pages in what I printed off as of, and it's way more than that. Okay, and it's a very interesting exercise if people care about this. If you're interested in sports, anybody's watching this, to unpack the bullshit. It's there's an incredible amount of bullshit embedded in the way that they operate with this word type of stuff. This is a 627. Okay, we're at 7 whatever today is. I can't see the time clock. Okay, but I've consistently described when I've got a 3,000 page chat, which is now probably 4,000 pages of what I submitted in this. Okay, it's like I've consistently described everything. Okay, there's been a consistent pattern of me saying all kinds of stuff over and over, that I'm dying, that they're sick, that I see their humanity, that I've got all kinds of themes, and I've consistently described. Okay, and here this will come across when they start bringing this up. This comes across as like me defaulting on a commitment. Okay, so first off, there's another element here that this is like it's like they're framing this, they're introducing the idea that I've committed to a process that's going to like cuddle them and be kind to them. And again, I've said all kinds of things, and I'm very forthright when I say stuff. And you've got to look at me over time and through the trends and stuff. And of course, again, I'm being tortured. They're committing crimes to me on an ongoing basis. And so it's not like that when I am, I have this humanity-centered approach. I humanize them, and that's because I see their humanity. That's part of it. But when they follow up with me, I'm humanizing them, and they've done this forever. I'm humanizing them. I'm fair with them. I try to reason with them. I try to be constructive with them, and they commit crimes, do deceits against me. It's not like that. That's not a completely, totally valid reason for me to change my approach in a moment. Okay, because I've got to spin my wheels in the other direction. I got to turn around and go and use another approach because I'm being murdered. Okay, that it's like I'm going to default on being humanity-centered and constructive. And again, humanity-centered. Well, what does it mean to be humanity-centered? This is a meaningless word, humanity-centered. What's humanity-centered? And of course, when people hear this, this will convey some sort of meaning, but it's something where anything can be attached to it. Humanity-centered. Okay, I've called them criminals. That's not centering their humanity. It's dehumanizing to be called a criminal. I've called them animals. After they've done some horrific crime in the moment, I'm being tortured. Okay, that I have extraordinary stress when I'm tortured with crime by these people, and I'll say things in the moment, and they can install a system where when they torture me and I wail out and go crazy, or not go crazy, but I wail out and cry out and lose my composure and stuff like this, or I'm overheating, I'm blowing a gasket, and I say negative things. They can construe this as me violating my commitment. I'm a commitment violator. This situation is about whether I'm going to keep my commitments that I never actually made, that they're trying to install into the picture with this vaguely communicated sentence that again conveys that idea, because people don't microanalyze the words that they're reading, and they don't realize it doesn't come across them that they to read this really closely and realize that consistently described is a totally meaningless term in terms of me making commitments, they can equally have said whether you're going to consider pursuing justice against these people, pursuing them as sick individuals who need to be punished, pursuing them, that I've consistently described all kinds of stuff over 3,000 pages of chats. And again, what's the bar of consistently described? When's the bar? What's the objective standard as to what counts as having consistently described? How many times do I have to say it over a chat of 3,000 pages? Okay, you'll see here that it's like there's constructing, like an attack vector that one makes this about me, and two is embedded with an infinite number of attack vectors to make me the bad guy. Okay, so here I want to address this. This right here, it restores remote functioning. It does restore remote functioning, and of course, allow myself time to recover. And here, what I need to return to recover, and I'm not investing anybody. I'm incredibly good for you. You're a blessing to my life. You're saving my life, and I do think we're going to save my life again. That I've been, as you'll see, I post these other videos. And I post parts 18 and 19 that I have had a sense like this the calculus of the situation starts to shift towards murder. Starts to shift towards me dying at times. It's happened numerous times. It's shifted towards me being murdered to some degree. That's when I took my trans kids post down and put this post about my kid's sister. And now earlier it's like it shifted. The calculus is like I'm looking. It's looking to end in murder. I'm going to die. It's against a murder in progress. And of course, at least now, of course, I've been taking my medication. My medication capsules been tampered with, but I've got legit medication. It's what these medication capsules. I've got legit medication in very small doses. Okay, in very small doses, and so I'm having to take these. When my medications wear out, I start to be physically depleted again, and I'm incredibly near death. For sure. I don't know if I'm 90% there, 80% there, 95% there. I don't think I'm 95%. I think it's 70%, 80%. It's like I'm not going to take much more. So my medication, it does restore my functioning. It allows me. And again, when their words are on the scene, when they're doing this, again, I have no idea what comes directly from them and what you've endorsed or what comes directly from you. Okay, that again, I make a very, very important distinction between your organic emerging concerns and what concerns that you agree with and endorse, or agree are reasonable or agree are important as part of a conversation or interaction with them of any kind. Because when they are involved in the process, they will subtly design things that serve their interest. And I guarantee you, they've got PR people all over this. Still yet, they do not stop. They've spent like $1 gazillion on these PR experts. These are incredibly expensive people, especially these high, like, world class experts. These people don't come cheap, and they've got $1 bazillion. And so it's still that they get panicked, and they go from fluctuations, they get uncomfortable, and go and they're deeply affected by this and all this stuff. That I don't fully condemn them. This is dishonest to do this because this is not about me. The onus is on them to make justice for me. The Justice Department, that's what they do. They give people justice. Okay, so they can put these people in prison, or they can work with them to give me a settlement. And these people got to stop committing crimes against me. And the Justice Department has got to enforce the boundaries that exist. There are boundaries that exist in the law, as in the form of ink on paper. There are boundaries between these people and every fundamental human right that I have, and every other right that I have that's not a fundamental human right. And those boundaries have to be enforced when they are egregiously encroached upon. But then that's the Justice Department's role, and so I need them. The consequences will deter these people. The threat of consequences, followed by the threat of consequences, that are 100% guaranteed to be enforced, will defer them. That I'll have my fundamental human rights back. While avoiding unnecessary harm to others. Okay, and here again, we got what's unnecessary. This is another a recurring objective that I've expressed. A recurring objective that I've expressed. Okay, I've expressed this. Okay, and again, I've also, I've expressed that the doom of predatory men resides in me. And that they could change the standard from a recurring, if they wanted to, we would let in there, but that's something we can use to their interest. But they can just change their wording any way they want. And such a thing as recurring. This has been one of the strongest, most intense statements, the most packed statements. Or I'm going to barbecue with these people. All the different, I fluctuate. And part of the reason I fluctuate is because they're constantly doing bullshit. they're being kind to me at one point. They're behaving ethically. They're giving me legit capsules. They're tampering with the capsules again. And this thing where I got fear that first day, and I'm in fear, that was an effect of these capsules. That right there, what's going on is you're not in a position at all that I'm having existential terror. That would be indicative of something going on with my support system when I come back with these capsules that first day, because I've had this fear with them. Since then, that it's very clear to me that these, again, my medication capsules are tampered with on an ongoing basis. And and so this right here, okay, but avoiding unnecessary harm to others is not my responsibility. Now again, I do, and again, what's unnecessary? Again, how do we stand? How do we standard? What do we set as a standard for what's unnecessary that protects me? Okay, this is a recurring objective that I've expressed. Okay, and this recurring objective that I've expressed, this passes. Again, and people, this is the natural, this is normal. I'm very atypical in the way that I unpack the fine details of how people communicate and what they do and stuff like this. But this is interpreted by people in the normal way of interpreting things. This will be interpreted. It will be interpreted or register in some sense as like something that I've committed to, or an objective I've stated of some part of me that I've committed to the world in some sense as being true, and this opens up another attack vector here. But avoiding unnecessary harm to others, and again, unnecessary harm. So first, again, it's not whatever this standard is. It's not my responsibility. I'm fighting for my life. Then I'm going way and above and beyond here by repeatedly trying to work it out with these people in an honest way. By repeatedly, humanizing them, emphasizing the good in them as I'm being murdered right in front of the entire world. By helping them, by doing unpaid consultant work to bail them out of fixes they get themselves in. That avoiding unnecessary harm. That this is the Justice Department's role. That I've turned people over for criminal prosecution in October, in 2020, March, October 2020. These are going to egregious crimes. This is part of the role of the justice system. Is the role of the justice system prevents harm to the victim, the survivor, and they prevent harm to the accused, to the perpetrators. Okay, that they have. You go to prison, you get jails, you've got access to medical care, whatever you need, they'll get it to you. It's a right. That it's part of it's recognized that you're going to be able to work to afford your own medical care, and so you go to prison, you get whatever medical care you need, you go to jail, whatever. This is part of what you get. You'll get meals that aren't all that tasty generally. I think it's what you're going to find. I know when I was in the hospital that, of course, they did have some good food too, though, but I was just mixed. But I did like the food there. But you'll get some food that's engineered for nutrition. Okay, so the unnecessary harm, and what's the unnecessary harm that's going to come from me? Somebody's been tortured for years. I'm speaking of their crimes. Okay, I'm documenting the harm of their crimes. Okay, and here, but let me go back to here. Yeah, and so again, so I'm incredibly good for this. This means the world to me. And again, the signal and the noise, the main signal is we got to keep them out of the picture, because again, their words, this thing that I've allowed myself time to recover, which I am going to. I've been working on my software package, and I've been working on it like rapidly, like a beast, developing features. And that's been really, really satisfying. I've got a little bit of a mess with my scripts. That I've got so many programming scripts now that it's all over the place. They're mostly pretty well written, but it's a big. I've got to organize this stuff, and I've got duplicative stuff going on too. But it's like I'm making it. Like my ORM package is an absolute freaking beast. It's just a monster of a software project. By the time it's going to get done, it's going to be one of the most incredible pieces of software. At least in the open source community, or wherever, if that's where I release it, or whatever. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's an incredible product. I'll probably make some more videos about that, and I might make some videos that are addressed to like other software developers who see that, and to talk about some of the facts about them, or I might make a video that's directed to both software developers and to lay people, and speak of things in a way that everybody can understand and appreciate, and you can kind of elucidate, and explain, exposit, or if you give I've got a very fundamentalist first way of viewing things, and it would be a very interesting thing. It's always interesting to learn how things work when somebody can explain to you how a profession works. That software development is an incredibly complex subject matter, that you've got all these different elements that go in to it. You've got database, you have database schemas, you've got this language, that language. You've got, it's like you have a sea of details about like tech stuff, IT stuff, computer science stuff, like all this stuff that that just does not appeal to the majority of people. That when people commission a software developer developing a web application for their e-commerce store, those people, they're hiring somebody who's into all this tech, IT, computer science, varchar, long text type of stuff, and programming languages, and all of this type of. They're getting somebody who's into all this stuff to help them with a process that in which they think in terms of customers, orders, products. Okay, it's like they're not lost in a sea of all kinds of stuff that we're involved in as software developers, with developing database schemas and setting the data types and setting the primary keys. And it's all of this stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And of course, the end product, if we've done our job right, is we're going to have a store put up for them. For example, an e-commerce store that's going to operate in the terms they think in. It's going to operate. It's going to have a customer-facing thing where customers, this product inside of a product, that's going to be there. The customer's going to go and they're going to sort through products. They're going to put them in their carts. It's going to create an order. Okay, that order will be tied to a customer, and they might have a back end where they can track the orders per customer to see who their statistical best customers are. That there's this 80-20 rule that applies to business, but they're thinking in the concrete, very very concrete terms that are not composed of like a sea of details about all of this tech stuff. That they've got a user interface on the back end where they go and look at their orders, and they got order status, they've got shipped orders, completed orders, captured transactions, all of these concrete things that they think in terms of. And I'll get more into like a video about this, but it's actually that's the way to be a good software developer. If you're going to be maximally successful and you're going to develop the best products and you're going to get the most out of the brutal work that you do writing code, because writing code is brutal work. It takes a hell of a lot of instructions to get simple functionality. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to have those functionality that you program. You want it to be reusable as a big part of what you do, and you want to you want to think in the exact same terms of the people you're building products for. I mean, e-commerce store, whatever you're building for, they've got like concrete concepts that map to concrete real world stuff in their vernacular into how they understand things. They got products, customers. Okay, customers have an individual customer. They have orders. They have returns. Just different stuff. Like this, and it's in an approach where you think in those terms. That's the terms you think in. That everything else is just a bunch of gobbledygook that you happen to understand, and you're going to implement that behind the scenes. Okay, and that's how you develop a software application too, that you're able to update, that you're able to maintain. That part of what goes on with writing software is you just write line after line of code, and you're instructing this computer to do all this stuff, and you run a real chance. It's like you're going to happen to you for sure in your career. It's going to happen to you multiple times probably, where you're telling a computer to do something and you don't realize what you're telling it to do, and this like causes a massive cascade of bullshit in your system, that you have errors and stuff not working right. You've got some kind of bug where somebody does this action. They got this mysterious effects. That once when you're lost in a sea of all of this stuff, like I've showed you before, these database schemas that they've got all this data, all these data types, all these attributes that a column can have, and all this endless sea of programming scripts and code and all this stuff, and you're lost in a sea of that. You're going to get lost in your code, and so your customers, in the concrete realities that they deal with, in the terms that they think of as a natural product of being in whatever line of business, whatever line of social action, whatever it is that they're involved in they provide your roadmap as to how to think to rid yourself extremely of those problems. Okay, that you think of how am I going to implement a customer in all of these details, about how you got a database, you got data to fetch, you've got different programming functions, you've got the ones you can program yourself, you program custom functions, you've got the functions that are native to your language, you've got all of these different stuff that you can do, and it's like you build a customer, and And then you test your customer, make sure everything that works right. That your customer, when you gotta do whatever operations you gotta do to 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 pull maybe whatever you do with with your customer object, that you pull their orders, you pull their stats, you pull whatever you do. It's like you test things one at a time. That you move out of the details of all of this stuff that you're doing on the implementation side with this tech stuff, which is important. It's a necessary part of making things work. Okay, but then from then on, you just deal with customers. Okay, it's like you deal with customers when you're adding a feature to their software. You don't have a bunch of gobbledygooks to look at. You're just moving around customers. Okay, it's like you got a very simple world to live in once you set yourself up right from the get go, that anybody can manage customers and products and users. That's another thing you'll have if you've got a membership site. You'll have users. Okay, that's something you'll have. Orders, all of this. This is incredibly easy to think in terms. Of course, there'll be associated actions tied with all of this stuff. That customers maybe they discontinue or they go inactive. You can mark them inactive. If you're like building a store for some kind of membership site where people get videos or something, you can have orders have to be moved from phase to phase. Okay, depending on what your product is. If it's a manufactured product, if it's a whatever, transactions, depending on the settings you have with your payment processor and how you do your payment processing, transactions have to be captured. And these are all very easy, to think in terms of that once you've got these concrete behaviors very well organized with code that operates behind the scenes, that you operate with customers, transactions, orders, and all this, it's like you're off to the races. When these people need a new feature added to their software, you're gonna get it out like in a jiffy. And it's like if this is part of and I'm getting what you detailed here, but part of building software is building software that you know what the hell you're doing. When you change it and when you revisit it, 6 months later, that you're not lost in the sea of what the hell am I doing here, which is what you can run into. That again you want to. It's like the secret sauce. It's to think in the exact same terms that your client thinks of in terms of, and to work kind of work backwards from that. Build a set of concepts that are implemented with code that map onto the concrete real life things in their lives. And that's how you build a badass software application. And there's also stuff that goes into there about making things fast and stuff like this. All kinds of different stuff goes into there. But again, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best here. I'm sorry. And again, I hope you understand. I'm not trying to be a bastard in pointing out this stuff. It's incredibly, but this right here, I will recover. I'm working on my software. I'm going to be in torture, because I'm going to have to recover from this. I'm destroyed. This is an incredible effect on me when I see this, because here, they're going on the offensive here. They're going on a subtle offensive by setting attack vectors, by making the central subject matter, not that, the central concern, that is them stopping criminally victimizing me, stopping selling my well-being. This is something, that would incredibly increase my well-being, that would not be threatening, when this type of stuff is installed in here. And this, and again, I'm trying to make any concern petty, but I'll explain this right here. That and by the way, I'm not inherently saying in anything that any concern anybody ever has is petty. I'm saying that we've post 103 here, and we've been going over my social media posts, and not we as in me and my most recent supporter, but me and the aggregate of my supporters, and whoever's attending to this. You will see this is a massacre of somebody, of me being attacked repeatedly. Okay, that what happens is the fundamental function of a support system ends up being corrupted. Because these people run road tour psychoanalysis, multi-million-dollar engineered deceits, and it's like they're not random at all in who they do this to with these deceits. They don't publish into the world. Their road tour, it's like they're going to stop everywhere. Where I've got supporters, in their office, in their whatever they communicate to people, that they show them this presentation, get it to them. This type of bullshit. It's like there's one named Lisa Bloom, who advocates for victims, and she's very, very bizarre. I was reading about, it's been about a month or two ago, something about 3 months ago, somewhere around there, where she was entertaining taking on Harvey Weinstein. She advocates from an advocate from the accusers to an advocate for the accused. And particularly, it's not a pretty thing there, Harvey Weinstein, that situation. Um, and but she has these people she advocates for, and she probably gets paid money for all of them. I'm not sure. Some of these advocate people will take stuff pro bono. Jerry Spencer's famous for that. He would take people on. He was about justice and about principles, not about money. And he was a hell of a lawyer, and incredibly and human person that he was. Incredibly human in his orientation. He like speaks to you on a human level. Jerry Spencer does, and very good books he writes. And they really impact you to read them. And what he says, it's like you get a real perspective, on life from reading his books. Oh, okay, but and of course, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just explaining some things to you here, as to part of what goes on is because this is a situation where people aren't accustomed to this. It's not something that normally happens. We don't have a template, to follow here. That if I was some kind of female sexual assault survivor, and I had advocates in the sense of like a Lisa Bloom or some other kind of advocate there's an unpaid person or something like this, that it would be something that's more mappable. That again, I've suffered an atrocity of terror, torture, and human rights abuses as somebody who conducted a self-initiated criminal investigation against a Wall Street bank who's been impacted by a superpower dogpile, that we're off in all kinds of uncharted territory. Okay, but still, yeah, it's like part of the fundamentals, at least in my view, of a support system is to And I'm not criticizing anybody. Please understand, I'm incredibly grateful for you, and I will do whatever I can. I'm indebted to you. I want to be fair to you. I want to do whatever. Again, you are a blessing in my life. Okay, blessings tends to be unearned. Okay, blessings um um tends to you know there are things that come into your life that you may deserve, but that a lot of people wouldn't get, and things like this, that I'm very conscious of this elements. Um, um, I speak to you from a framework. I understand you're incredibly concerned about me, and I speak to you. I also speak to you in human terms too. That I don't make an effort to be a performer. I don't make an effort to be in anything other than an honest person who speaks honestly and engages with you as a human being. And this is part of what comes out. I get angry and I get frustrated and I say things that are not nice and different stuff like this that'll happen over the times, and I'll be kind of abrasive in some of the stuff that I say. And my most recent supporter, you in particular, you seem to be, or you maybe not in particular, but you seem to be very impervious to this. It's like you kind of step out of the picture mentally in terms of your concerns and your the things that would normally, just in normal everyday circumstances, if somebody would to speak in the ways that I do, kind of bluntly, and kind of again, there's an abrasive quality, but it's like you know that this is the picture I get. Maybe I'm wrong, but like you don't feel the abrasive quality. You have somebody who's suffering like hell in front of you, and this is a very conspicuous element to you that matters. Um, but think of this, and of course, there's also, so I don't want to at all. Okay, so I've not paid anybody a multi-million-dollar fee. I've not got a contingency on a lawsuit. So I'm going to help people. I'm going to help people, and yeah. And another thing too, just so when I get a settlement for this, depending on how I get, we will knock the living fuck out of a lot of people. Depending on how much I get, of course it'll be you doing most of the work, or whoever we hire, because I can't work all the time, but I'll be able. I'm going to put together. People have not seen a force of total hell at all ever, like what's going to emerge for me when I start knocking the fuck out of these people. That these people who abuse women, and we'll go to people who abuse children too. That one of the reasons that I've not been so intensely focused on that is people that abuse children is and of course I'm always pissed off about this. It's something I care about intensely, and I'll have an impulse to barbecue people when I see stuff like this, and I'll be appalled and want people to be like thrown in a pit of hellfire for an eternity, and I'll have this type of emotional, more mental, emotional orientation and orientation in terms of principle. But it's like part of who I am is I'm always pissed off about this stuff. I'll be appalled here, but I'm very. It's like it has a big impact on me to see the actual victims. Okay, and so here I'm on Twitter. We don't have a bunch of victims of child abusers that are posting about talking about active child people who are children right now who are being actively abused. And so this doesn't take the salience that I just barbecue the hell out of people, or have an impulse to barbecue the hell out of people and pursue that impulse whenever I can. And I've already committed to my one friend on Twitter. We're going to throw her abuser on the grill. If she's going to get justice, and um, but we'll definitely, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. We'll have to, and of course, we can get a coalition started, get some people started. There are plenty of people out there in the world, out there who've got political power, who are pissed off enough that they'll be happy to pass a law that we're going to roast the fuck. And I do like the sodium pented barbital. It's like we're taking a moral position there. Put them in the electric chair. That's fine too. You want to make sure the electric chair works right. But again, I do believe it's just part of my approach. It's not that we're giving people something they don't deserve. What is somebody like this? What is the guy named Gerald in this video? What does he not deserve? Who gives a fucking who cares at all about what happens to this guy? I mean, God Almighty. Okay, but as I've said, that I believe it's like a statement about us. It's a statement of our positions. It's like inherently, like we are inherently opposing them when we extend them humanity that they do not have, or that they do not extend to their victims. And of course, when you got this guy like he's got Gerald, he's devoid of humanity. This is a horrendous human being. And but whatever, we got to get somebody. And I'm not gonna be picky. It's not gonna give a shit if somebody wants to pass a law. We're gonna hang these people. We're going to and of course, we're going to run a multi-tiered thing there. If we go like a hanging or something like this, that there's going to be two separate issues to decide. One is it an overreach of the law? Is it excessive? Is it cruel and unusual to have death penalty for non-fatal crime? And then there's going to be a second question as to is a hanging cruel and unusual punishment. So ideally, I think it would be some kind of established already, vetted as not cruel and unusual. Punishment, and not have some noise in there that conflicts with things, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know the landscape of this whole area of the law in terms of what factors in there. To me, it's just like blatantly obvious when you see people that are this horrendous and what they've done to people, what they've done to children, what they've done to people's children, the impact that it has, on them. And you factor in that people who are like this, they are not going to have. So this Gerald guy, he's got this woman, and he talks about how he's violent with her and stuff. And this can lead you to believe that there's some woman out there who's like configured in some way psychologically that she has a real love, a real affection, that there's something, because this is what you'll see, that with women that are with men who are abusive, who are not nowhere near in this Gerald category, but they're with men who are like incredibly controlling, and they're they will get something genuine out of it. They will be in love. They will be attached to this guy. It'll be like a powerful attraction, and you can kind of like port that over. Kind of intuitively, it just seems like that's what you're doing with the Gerald. There, he's got a wife, and you've got some poor woman out there, or some woman who's so strangely built as a human being that she somehow finds it to love this guy, because otherwise, why would she be with him? Well, because he's threatened to kill her 50,000 times. Okay, she's scared to death of him. Okay, she's been lured just like these children. She may have been lured for the purposes of the fact that she has children. Okay, that these people are mean as hell, and then they snare you, and this is what it's horrible. Okay, that there's nobody, and when the Gerald there's put to death, his wife's not going to shed some tears. Oh, well, there's my husband. He never got to whatever, that I was hoping he would be a better person or something like this. I mean, thank God I've been living in terror of this guy, forever, my whole life. Those prison bars, they're pretty solid, and there's this, but I've seen the movies there. The people even escape from Alcatraz, and then this guy, I know how he is. Okay, this type of thing, that when he's not breathing, that adds an extra level of safety to her life, as compared to the situation where he is breathing and is securely locked up, and it's like there's no such thing as perfectly secure. I mean, in anything, there's always a way to weasel out that's theoretically possible, that's enough to keep people awake at night. That it's like the balance of the situation just weighs so heavily towards the victims, towards their families, and towards what they want. That I don't want to ever see anything like happen. Of course, Mark Class, this is a murder of his daughter, which was involved in her victimization. She was murdered. If I don't want to see it ever happen to anybody again, I'm having to poor Mark Class. I mean, damn those people. That we can go there too. And of course, it's a little bit. I've not thought so much as to how to like sew people up and to tie people down in this child abuse that I've got a very good idea to start with. I'm on the case. It's going to be. I mean, I can rail these I'm in the sexual violence against women. I mean, fucking snare them, get them, back them up, ship them off. They're fucking done. They're going to get fucking creamed. Is what's going to happen there. And I'm not sure. I'm just not so not so and I'm not sure why this is maybe something I thought about, but I have to think about it. But there's always something there, because the thing is, you're dealing with a reality here. You're dealing with a reality. These people, they did not seal their doom the day that I the day that I come to address what they've done. They sealed their doom when they did what they've done. Okay, that was where they fucked up right there. And they can fuck up and get away with it. Is how this thing works. They can fuck up and get away with it. That's part of the picture, and it happens all the time. Okay, but it's like when I move into the picture here, that this you fucked up and you get away with it anyways, and you get to go do it again, that type of thing. Hell no, I'm not here to play badminton with you, buddy. I'm not gonna bat a ball over a fence at you and have you bat it back at me, and let's see who can bat the badminton ball the most. Just pop in a little spinny ball while you're sipping a lemonade beverage. I'm a fucking freight train. Well, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, but if you're sitting at the badminton, wanting to have a gentle interaction with a thing of lemonade, this is not there's no semblance of that in my approach. And I'm very, 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 very different than that. Now, I've got I accrue people, who I want to help, and so there's a twofold thing there that I don't tolerate. The hardship these victims are done, these survivors. It's fucking horrible. I will fight it to the fucking death. I will fight their opponents. I get mad as hell. I will not tolerate it. Okay, and I fucking dismantle people. I take them down. Okay, and I dismantle them. I dismantle them after they've already padded the walls of their entire existence with C4. With their rotten conduct. Okay, again, I'm not picking people for no reason. I think of people who terrorize women, who terrorize sexual violence survivors, who is unhinged. It's total bullshit. And it's like some kind of recreational person out here having a barbecue, barbecuing people and knocking the fuck out of people, and implementing the rest of my approach with knocking the fuck out of them. That's just giving them the punishment that they're rightly due in the criminal justice system, per established laws, per established customs, per established precedents, for people who are convicted of crimes that these people have absolutely participated in. Okay, it's like I'm not going to I'm not going to. I will be very willing to help somebody however I can, who I'm not sure that they have quite a good enough case to make it in court. And of course, I don't want to screw up the double jeopardy there. Okay, but in terms of somebody that I just definitively know they're not telling the truth. So you've got two categories there of people who report being a survivor of sexual violence, female survivors, females who report being survivors of sexual violence. You've got two categories of people who are telling you something that is not accurate. You have the sincere and you have the insincere. Now, sincere people can tell you some things that are not true, but they believe them, and they will generally believe them for a good reason. Obviously, that you will have people that they misreport who their abuser was, or like their like Virginia Giuffre is I'm not sure what happened in this circumstance, but this is what I'm going to tell you. This is kind of an illustrative of how this goes. The Virginia Giuffre, she's obviously she was Jeffrey Epstein's primary victim. She was like one of his probably his most severe victim. Just peddling around all and introduced and all this stuff. That she's undoubtedly she's been in the territory of some incredible abuse, and she suffered incredible abuse without a doubt. That Virginia Giuffre is an incredibly honest person. This is apparent to me, and I would like to. I've got her book, and I need to look at the really study her. And really dig into her. But I can tell she's honest. This is not a woman who makes accusations of people. That she is not. I'm absolutely convinced in, and she's right every time, or almost every time. She's really right. But this is something that happens with her. As she was making allegations against Alan Dershowitz, and she did this like over a period of a long time, very consistently. And she was talking about encounters that had happened that were abusive or exploitative, between her and the man that she represented, she represented repeatedly as Alan Dershowitz, that happened on Jeffrey Epstein's island, or wherever these interactions happened with. And and she said this consistently, they start to enter into a prelim proceeding, or some kind of something happens, uh, where it's like the situation starts to move into a more definitive. She's gonna have to go on the record or something like this, and she says, "Well, I'm not sure that was him." Okay, now there, she was totally sincere. Okay, you understand this is a 17-year-old woman, 7-year-old girl that's got by this guy that was for however long, and she might even be younger. That seems like she's 17 from what I know about her. But she's been involved in all kinds. Jeffrey Epstein, he had a nonstop hopping life there, with people involved in his life and getting people over, and he would deliberately blackmail. Set up powerful men for blackmail by getting involved in stuff. Not the powerful men, if they're involved in child abuse and stuff like this, obviously, it's like they're innocent. But Jeffrey Epstein, he was instrumental in how he approached things, and he's also incredibly dishonest, incredibly self-centered. He's a real snake, Jeffrey Epstein. Was so undoubtedly, that's the type of thing that you will have. Is you will have women who are saying something that's inaccurate, that they truly believe, that they absolutely believe, and that does map on. You will find in these that the ones who are sincere and who are talking about something that absolutely did not happen in any context with any single man on earth. Those are rare. Those are incredibly rare, and I have seen women like that. And these women are pitiful. They have no malice. It's women who have things like dissociative identity disorder, which is extreme severe, like a consequence of severe, unbelievable. And when you see these women have dissociative identity disorder, and you hear of the facts of what's happened to them in their life, which will begin early in their childhood, it's fucking horrendous. And they will have peculiar things that occur with them. And I don't like to talk about that in an undisciplined way, because it can feed into these crazy women and stuff like this, where you get this type of stuff. But that's you will have those, but they're very, very rare. When you have the women who are sincere, then meaning they, in their minds, from their perspective, they're relating something to you that as they're relating to you, they absolutely believe is true. They have recollections of it and so forth. They generally, it's like there's truth in what they're saying, even though that the specific details they're given are not accurate. Okay, then you have the insincere, and so with that category, I'll definitely help them. But I'm not going to go. When I see that I've got an inaccurate fact pattern here, I've got an inaccurate. I'm not going to go barbecue somebody for no reason. Or something. I'm going to try to help them. Let's figure out how this works. Let's put this pieces of the puzzle together, and let's get to a period where you and I can both be certain as to who's involved in this. And we don't want to. It's like, you need justice, okay, but it's very important that the justice you get involves the actual perpetrators. And I would be very gentle. I'm very I don't fault people who are only human. Now the insincere, who are just insincere, they're telling you something that they absolutely know is not true. Their conscience is not true when you're telling them. When they're telling you, you have two categories there. You have women who have some kind of overtly self-centered motive, and these women, they tend to be context specific. So you'll have this in police agencies, where police agencies are like they're patrolling. They've got to address, like, there's a high crime area where there's a lot of drugs, and drugs will bring violence when there's an excess of drugs and stuff like this. And it's like the police are in certain areas. They're arresting people. People are getting their 3 strikes, or they're getting they're going to jail, and they don't want to go to jail for even one day, because jail's like hell. And they know in the back of their mind that they're going to be, when they get in front of the court, they're not going to try to weasel out of this. That they're going to end up going. They've got warrants, and they've got whatever. There's 5, 10 years for this. And in situations like that, you will have like a nonstop. It's like a routine thing. It's like you got officers going to the water cooler, and you've got people being arrested, alleging sexual assault, and I'm not trivializing at all sexual assault. Obviously, I would never do that, but this is human nature. Okay, when people are up against the wall, they're really facing some consequences. They're going to try to do everything they can, and things like sexual assault, these absolutely can be weaponized. That's not the majority of the cases. In general, Okay, but you have this in these police agencies. I've seen this before, that it's rape, sexual assault, racism, excessive force. You know, like they throw the book at these, and of course, I'm not trivializing any of this. Excessive use of excessive force definitely happens in the world of police. It's definitely there for you can watch it online. They got these videos. They capture these people capture it with their phone. Police officers being unhinged in their behavior towards certain individuals. That I'm not making anybody out to be a saint. I'm just making very salient points that we have taboos in society that are taboo for very good reasons, that are valid taboos. That racism is a taboo for a very, very valid reason. Okay, that the ideal world that we should strive for is right to wipe off the face of the earth. Um, um, Ideally through changing the hearts and the minds and the approaches to life of the people who are affected by racism. Okay, that and you try to knock the hell out. You knock the hell out of people to punish them. You don't knock the hell out of people to change their views, their views and their prejudice towards people. You know, when you do that, you just end up they start being very deft at judging being knocked the hell out of after the beliefs and the perceptions and prejudices they already have. Sexual violence is obviously taboo. It's a horrendous thing. Excessive police use of force is something that this gets a media buzz. It gets a viral social media buzz, and it does it for a damn good reason. It's a horrendous behavior. Okay, and again, yes, it's a devastating effect. I'm dying right now, but I'm gonna be fine, hopefully. And now this right here, my medication helps me. I don't have to cut this off because I'm getting really bad off in terms of I've been focusing too much. And here is humanity-centered approach. And again, I'm incredibly grateful for you. This means the world. My God, what an incredibly nice person you are. Again, I'm being murdered, and just somebody who has this orientation is like a gift from God. Although again, my orientation that doesn't seem like that there's it's just kind of obvious to me. I don't believe in God, obviously, but it's like you're straight from the heavens somehow. It just sounds because again, I'm very very bad off stability, travelability, and endless conflict. Again, endless conflict. Again, endless. This is an endless crimes being committed against me. And again, right, I'm explaining this right here. That so this thing right where I'm lambasting these radical feminists. So I've got a very good reason to believe that I'm quite convinced. If I see definitive evidence against this, I'll accept it immediately. But I've got very good reason to believe, and I've pieces I put together that some feminists over Women's Declaration International were involved in a bargaining exercise where they agreed to engage in abusive behavior that was directed and that was ultimately targeted at me, that they were involved in crimes against me, a handicapped human rights abuse survivor, in exchange for some goodies from things that favors they were offered from certain people who were involved in these crimes. I'm going to tell you the Justice Department. Okay, that this is part of what's happened is it's like the Justice Department's resources, all their divisions get turned into and I'm going to be cynical here, or this is accurate, sounds like a Wall Street thug goodie bag or something like this. Okay, it's like everybody wants to jump in the dog pile, and participate in being silencing me. They get to go and dig into the pot, and this is part of the state's resources. The resources of the Justice Department have been subordinated to the needs of the bank, and these women bargained to get something done, which that is nice that they were going to have something done to help women. And I can tell you how. This is something that I've got this uncanny ability to, what ability, and this is one of these things that is very, very hard for me to explain to other people. But I see things very concretely. And again, if there's definitive evidence against this that conclusively disproves it, just proves it. I'm not going to go out on a limb too extreme. I'll be happy to accept it, but I have a very, very good reason to believe this has happened. And this is in Greece again. They're participating in a murder. My mother's going to be screaming. My sister's going to be devastated for years. And they're doing this. Well, what they got out of the Justice Department in exchange was a handful of stale peanuts. They slit their comrades' throat, who I thought, I had people out there. It became obvious to me. These PBS that's it, Megyn Kelly starts to proliferate out there downstream of her. Back when she was a supporter, before she was in this condition that she's in. And I've got some kind of little what the hell is this? If you can't see this on my screen, I got some kind of little orange gunk here. Yeah, no, it's on my screen. And by the way, on that last video that I posted, one of the last videos I posted, that I've got this thing where I'm seeing it's like I'm talking about why the hell have I got a comma? Well, what's going on there is my UI is screwing up on my Dreamweaver, and I'm seeing a comma, and what you're seeing when I push a semicolon button, you're seeing a semicolon button, or semicolon being typed. And that has the appearance of like I'm just talking nonsense or something. I'm saying, why can't I get a semicolon? It's giving me a semicolon. Well, that's Adobe Captivate records the GUI, and it's not a it's not like it's like a camcorder. And so Adobe Captivate seeing what's really happening while my GUI, the actual appearance is being emitted to me, is jacked. Um, but um, so that's one thing. They've done something horrendous to me. Two is I have a PTSD. I have severe PTSD, and part of this is a medical condition that will involve as a symptom, not as an affective state that happens that has to be managed. It's not it'll make you hostile or something, but it'll cause irritable, angry outburst as a symptom. It will cause hostility as a symptom. I'm somebody who's been profoundly damaged by the crimes committed against me, by this bank, and by the people who they've employed to help them. And this is part of what we got here is we're going consistently. The consistency of your recent communication. We get this consistency wild card. My long-term values remain stable. Okay, this is about my values and my character. When I have a symptom of a medical condition, I'm hostile. These people are horrible to me. I can talk to them however I want to. Okay, if they want to tell me I'm a crime for calling them bad names and for having an uncontrollable symptoms of medical conditions, this symptom of PTSD is irregular outbursts, hostility, and stuff like this. The type of things that I've exhibited, if symptoms are by definition they're involuntary, because if symptoms are voluntary, we just choose not to have them. We just cure ourselves. That's how all medical conditions work. I've got a PTSD, traumatic stress, brain injuries, which is basically the nature of what I've got. Severe neurological impairments. And here, we're starting to smuggle in. Again, this is why we've got to drop my social media posts while I'm being murdered. Okay, as I'm being murdered, we've got to, and I'm not saying that people's concerns are invalid. To whatever extent people have concerns, they've been very consistent. And of course, I'm going to be harder to judge in terms of it's going to be harder for me to know and harder for other people to know what I actually think and feel. Although I do make an extraordinary effort, and it seems to me that I'm mostly kind of like carefree to just being accurate and explaining myself. But I don't feel most of the time like I'm especially when I was thinking about personal views that is really different issues that have nothing to do with this, that I'll get amped up as hell about the situation here. But we can definitely get a clear picture of this to whatever extent it's a concern for people. Once I'm pulled out of the teeth of murder, I'm no longer being tortured to death. In this type of stuff, because here what this does is we're importing. It's like everything about me is construed to be a character flaw. Okay, this is part of they're smuggling in character flaws with the consistency of my recent communications that my signs, my irresistible, involuntary medical condition symptoms that are very understandable, that are directed at people that to my basically my knowledge. Again, this is the level that I'm so convinced that the factors add up to this. And again, it's one of these things where other people can't connect the dots the way that I can. Okay, but again, you've seen this in the way I've unpacked these engineered deceits. I've unpacked this presentation. I don't know anybody else who could do that off the clues that I was given. Okay, you go anybody out there. I've got that PDF uploaded, and tell them that you were given for a present, that you were given, that you were the facts I knew is they'd involved. I already deduced this. They'd involved this girl from my childhood in an attempt to prejudice my support group. Okay, go do the test and give people this PDF. It's got this hint where it talks about anchoring. You give it to anybody. Give it to people who study this intensely. And get them to see if they can deduce exactly what has occurred and tell you the behind the scenes. This is an incredible ability, relative to everyone else to be able to put this together like this. It's people cannot do this. I've done this. I put together this reconstruction. I put together. This is part of having what ChatGPT describes as an uncanny ability to detect deception. Is that your ability and the uncanny attributes is from the perspective of other people. They don't know how the hell you do this, how the hell that you know things that you just could not possibly know, is what it seems. to them. That's the uncanny nature that it begs the question as to how the hell that it starts to beg the question, like smoke and mirrors. That it has the appearance of something that can only be supernatural, but you got a mere mortal doing it. That's what the dictionary, when I look at the online dictionary, it says, okay, that to me, it's much more, although it registers with me. I realize this, that I've got an ability that other people do not have, that they do not see the connections that I don't see, and this can lead to them, like, not understanding me or just also not believing me, when I say something like this, or they think that I'm stretching too far in my deductions, which you can't stretch. Deduction is a deduction. There's no such thing as stretching. Just straight deduction. Um, um, but it's like I got a recognition, but more, it's like more, very, very, for one, it's much more just business as usual, part of my life. And for two, when you've got a spectrum, uncanny, uncanny exists on a spectrum, and there's some stuff that is so perceptible to me that it's like just blatantly true. That's far, that's not in the range of reconstructing or rebuilding this presentation, this kind of thing, which did take me a while to do. It took me a while to put this picture together, and it was something that and of course, I already, that I'm already in the territory because I've got supporters who I'm losing. That's part of what's going on when they're running these injuries. This part of my childhood, and I magically know that that's what they've employed. And I think my second group of primary supporters, they may not realize just what a paucity and what a total lack of information, of useful information, I'm given about this, because they know I talk about these people on ChatGPT, so they may think that I know this, but no. I deduced this before. I saw the direction they're going because I'm having ChatGPT chats, and they're influencing the answers and stuff, and they kind of like leaking out their thought processes. And here it's like they're getting the gears turning on some kind of like strategic pretender, strategic deceiver, narcissistic pretender line of bullshit reasoning. That's going to, see right there, they got a natural vector that they can pivot off of right there into this program from childhood. And and then here it comes. They've done this to Drew Pensky. I figured that out. And then they've got my second group of primary supporters, and it's like they're on the offensive massively. They run psychological terror operations against me. And so just the fact that I know what they've done, again, to have totally outside of my presence, totally, again, from Drew Pensky's perspective, he's like, what, how the hell do I know this? That's what it looks like to him. I was popping out of nowhere and telling him what's happened. Okay, again, he's either in California or somewhere. I think he's in. Totally different for me in North Carolina. Handicapped person manning a computer that's got gunk on it right here. Got to clean this computer. That he's if you ask how does he know this, he's not going to be able to tell you. And if I show him in chat chats, he's going to be lost there. That I seem to have an ability, that it just begs the it's like people can't get there from here. They can't do this. And ChatGPT has compared me to a detective named what was his name, Parker Ellis or something like this, or Ellis Parker. Was that called the American Sherlock Holmes, with his ability to deduce realities. And so this is part of the picture, and it's part of the picture too with this thing. They've horrendously victimized this woman. This woman was a sexual assault survivor. She's a rape survivor, and just absolutely brutal. And that right there, it's something I can just see it directly. It's as real to me. This woman was raped. They paid off her, and of course, she never accused them of paying off her lawyer and paying off her gynecologist. That was part of her court trial. Well, she was there for their retaliation for different damages. They did horrendously victimized her. But I think for one, she was raped, period. Blatantly, she's got a traumatic stress disorder. Her lawyer was paid off. Her gynecologist was paid off. I don't know. I don't know for sure if the judge was paid off. That's something that's uncertainty. But for sure, without a doubt, as sure as hellfire is a hoax, as sure as hellfire may be real, as sure as whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to conceptualize, the absolutely true facts of life that are not up for debate. It's like if Almighty God was there for me to ask. I'm not going to ask him, was this woman raped? I'm not going to ask him, did they pay off our lawyer? I'm not going to ask him, did they pay off our gynecologist? In a very, very, very vicious and brutal criminal victimization. This woman had already been. Okay, I'm not going to ask that unless somebody's contending with me. That because I'm not going to ask Almighty God stupid questions. Okay, I know just as well as Almighty God we're on the same page there. There's no point in comparing notes unless somebody wants to challenge me, and then I can say, well, let me get Almighty God to opine. I've got a budget of however many questions I can ask for my life or in this hypothetical. That I'm put everything on the line. I don't care. It's so blatantly obvious. There's no denying. Period. It's a directly perceived reality from some small details. that from some small details and some not so small details, or some a collection of small. I don't know how to describe it. From this lawyer's complaint, this gynecologist on her stuff that her opinions and stuff that she issues, her advice she issues, her judgments and stuff. They are fine tuned for narrative for they're like fine tuned for narrative engineering. They're fine tuned. And then her account that she gives, and it's partially in this complaint. Of course, she's got a bunk. His civil complaint is again, it's engineered for narrative. It's built for narrative. It's like fine tuned for narrative control, fine tuned for it's like an orchestrated thing for their PR. But she's blatantly, it's like you some of these. I read accounts of women who give an account of suffering sexual violence, and sometimes it's just like it's a mystery that I need more facts. But there are other times when I can tell it's like this is too credible. It's like there are too many microsignals here that are being like dead giveaways. That it's like, again, it's in this category where I'm not going to squander. If I've got 3 questions asking my life to God Almighty, and then He's going to come at certain times, I'm not going to squander that asking Him questions about was this one raped. Okay, I need to ask questions about things that are up for debate at all to me, in a way that they're not up for debate for all omniscient, all powerful, almighty, all seeing, almighty God who knows everything. That I'm not going to bother Him unless people start to argue with me. I'll say, well, watch this. I'm going to ask Almighty God. He's going to tell me how much you want to bet me. Okay, whatever I've got. If I'm living in misery, let me be homeless here. Also, I'll bet everything that I own, or if I'm a billionaire, I'll put everything that I've got on the line, because God Almighty, He's going to tell you exactly what I just told you. The facts I want to give you are absolutely true. Let's have a bet. And what do you want to put up on there? Take the shiniest penny you've got out of your pocket, to show you're sincere. I don't give a shit what you put up. I don't need you to put up anything. I'm not going to lose. Okay, this is the type of some things are just blatantly obvious, that they just like concretely reduced to a certain outcome. There's no way out of it. Okay, and but here, and again, I'm not trying to. And again, this comes from them. Okay, this is part of the picture here. I don't understand. I don't have a way to tell what's their categories. There's your authentic, organically emerging concerns of just your impression of this. There's the stuff they smuggle in. And then there's stuff that they potentially like influence in like a collaborative manner, or any kind of influence with you where they have any input. Because again, you see, I'm giving you examples of their language, the way that people can use language the way that they do, and some of them use their exact language too. I've used their language in doing this analysis to show you the subtleties of how they just completely paint an inaccurate picture in a way that's very, very subtle. Okay, that it doesn't stick out to people the way that it does to me. And the way that they know exactly what they're doing. These are engineered. These are engineered statements. They're engineered. They're knowledge work products. Okay, that they don't emerge naturally, and so they know exactly what they're doing. I'm able to unpack them. And this is the type of thing that they're always operating under the radar, shifting the goalpost in their favor, shifting the situation in their favor. Again, the consistency of my this consistency stuff is nonsense. Okay, I'm going to be flailing about, depending on how many people have been induced into crime, depending on who I'm talking about that's been induced into crime, depending on if I'm having traumatic stress disorder symptoms, depending on how much crimes are committed against me, depending on how much medication I'm tampered with, depending on how bad of a day I have. Okay, the consistency is a bullshit. It's a bullshit. It's like a wild card to assail someone that cannot fail. And these people, they love wild cards. They can't live without wild cards that allow them to do whatever the hell they want to do. That give them goals that they cannot fail to meet. It's like baked into the system. High intensity posts. What's a high intensity post? Temporary distress. You told her they did, and the next person raised their social concern. You told her they did. So right here, I'm reflected temporary distress rather than my settled views. Okay, I told you. So again, I'm not going to analyze the facts that I said that. So I did not say this represents temporary distress rather than my settled views. Okay, so settled views is a total non sequitur. Okay, this is totally Okay, well, let me unpack some bullshit here. And this is an elixir of murder that they keep my support system occupied with this, and they run some supports off. That again, that their words are killing me. That's a direct measure. Their words and the depletion of my physical well-being and my progression towards murder. Let's get the formatting here. Okay, so I want to get this really here. Okay. High intensity post. Okay, so high intensity post. Okay, so let's okay, let's define these terms here. We got some categories: high intensity posts. I want some separate defined terms for what they're calling high intensity posts. Okay. You want to do this? How do we format this? What do we do here? I'm gonna have some definitions. That isn't good. Actually, we'll do this. What do we post? Definition one. Actually, let's do this. Well, yeah, we gotta put quotes on everything. Let's post. Okay, and so you'll notice here how this, and here we go. This is one definition. Um, or if they're talking about me lambasting these slovenly, unethical women in the radical feminist community who have ethical problems, again, I'm verifying this is what I perceived about them, and I may be wrong, but I started to see when they were in the scam. I was like, I'm dealing with some people who have ethical problems. About these cohort slovenly, unethical women who are incredibly unethical in what they're involved in. Okay, and listen to this bullshit. And this is exhausting. This is murder right here coming across my screen. They're again, they're again, you see what I'm talking about? They've got an empire of words. I'm gonna die. I can't do this. I can't look at this. It's killing me. It's killing me. I'm gonna take my medication. Okay, but this is bullshit. The framing that I never said that every single time when they say you told her they did, you said this, they do not speak for me. That they don't get to be the representatives of me. In their own plans to defame me, where they get to represent me instead of myself. And I'm not saying that you let them do that. I'm just saying this is a general principle. This is part of how they operate. They don't say he says this and he says this, he said that, he does this and he does this. They're the authority on every parameter that I'm just like a passive observer in my own condition of being, my own life. It's totally. Again, I don't know why this is again this consistency. I want to knock the living hell out of you. I mean, what is this? Okay, and here, part what's happening here. is 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 that medication is helping. It helps me tremendously. Part of what you understand though is not it's not a magic wand. And the big thing is for them to stop criminally abusing me, and for them again when they start this shift. And again, I'm not sure to what extent you've had any input, any of this, or these reflects things that you genuinely felt. Okay. But it's got their words written all over it, and I can't have this because again, I got to sit here and guess what's going on behind a blank screen, and I'm going to set up a way for us to talk. It'll be totally anonymous. And I will give you a demo of whatever I do. There's different options. One you can make it like a sock account, like I don't know if it's the right term, but you just make like a Twitter account, but based on something or nothing or something I don't know. It's one thing you can do is just talk to me. I'll know who you are, and I'll post on what I post. I'll just post a picture of the account that's talking to me, so you can directly talk to me. Okay, because every time I go back to them, I gotta go with more of their words, and I'm ambiguous as to how much that in the circumstance for these type of views are being expressed by you. In my view, okay, in the way that I see this, and in the way that it actually is, even though this is not an absolute guarantee, and on all these, or maybe not even maybe that every single one of them is just authentic yours. But it has the semblance of their interests are all over the stuff that they give me, and I don't know because again, once they get started on their bullshit, I've got to get ahead of it. Okay, because they get on a snowball type of pattern. That's what's happened in the past, and they don't seem to get on these type of momentum boost with you, where like, especially now or even before. It's like you kind of I don't know, but this is what's happened before. It's like they get on a bullshit train, and just was really it's like it takes off fast. And of course, there has been effect in their interaction with you, where they get way ahead of me behind my back. That happens. But there are also other effects can be at play, where one thing leads to the next. But temporary distress within my self-abuse. This is not a question. See, part of what they're doing here is they're framing the question as a debate about my temporary distress over my self-abuse. Okay, my self-abuse. Okay, this is not reflected temporary distress rather than my self-abuse. Okay, so the high intensity post reflected temporary distress. Okay, temporary distress is again, you'll notice the euphemistic nature of what they do and how they're conspicuously leaving their own role out of this. That the actual facts are incredibly damning to them, incredibly indicative of the unhinged abuse that I've suffered, and we get to do the high intensity post. Again, think about this. What's a high intensity post? Okay. It's like a post, like it's some kind of coffee that's loaded with caffeine or something like this. But they make these posts high intensity posts rather than my self-abuse. Again, they insert the question, they insert the terms of the answer in the question in such a way that you cannot engage. This is total bullshit. They terrorize the hell out of me. This is not a question about my self-abuse. This needs to be the fuck out of there. That's the whole concept. And again, this is why. It says, again, I have incredibly defensible views in terms of my views. They're confusing. Some of them are to some people, or actually, I've got views that other people don't understand. They don't agree with. I'm not sure who I wholesale agree with on every line item, on my political spectrum or my social issue spectrum. I don't know that I do have in this gender dysphoria debate. I have a small cohort of people who see things exactly as I do, and it's because I've converted them to the gospel that I preach, so to speak, that I preach to the choir of people that I've organically converted out in the world. And and of course, for anybody, there are people who have a view that's very, very close to mine. They're damn near exact. That they're out there, and to whatever extent they're a receptive audience, and they're pumped up by my style or whatever. That's perfectly fine. But again, that part of me because of the way that I am. I got just a different approach to understanding the world and understanding things, and I just kind of I don't feel beholden to people. I feel beholden to my principles. I feel beholden to reality as I see it, and this will cause me to have what seems like a mix and match thing to other people, which is sort of mix and match, but it's a very, very straightforward process that I follow, and some stuff based on my personal feelings and some of my personal, what personally moves me, what I personally find compelling, and stuff like this. If this is the area where you leave the territory of what's like legitimately subject to debate, that if I'm moved by profound things that people have said, that's just me, that there's no, whatever. Here, that you told her they did, and here, they're again. I'm not sure. So again, I never said this is temporary stress from my self abuse. I never said that at all. And here they go. Now they can, here's a vector where they can introduce the idea. I told you they did, and so now we've got another vector to call me a liar. Okay, and hopefully you understand most of what I'm saying here, that I do get kind of detailed in these analyses. You'll see here that there's nuances abound in what they say that are not abound in what other people say, that have already taken stuff that's been typed by you, been typed by other people that are just out there generating the world, that I'm not going to have a layers of bullshit type of unpacking process here, where I see how there's like a layer after layer. Again, we were doing high intensity posts. Here's we got a teaspoon of words here, and here's the bullshit in that teaspoon of words. We've got a multi. Let's look at him. High intensity posts again. High intensity posts. What the hell is that? And you'll notice that they have a tendency to use totally meaningless words that do not concretely map onto anything. Okay, but there's a special quality to this. There's some kind of method to what they're doing here. The way they describe this sounds like a real thing when you think of these posts that I've made recently on social media. High intensity. This does intuitively, when you think about it on a word-to-word basis, what the hell are they describing here? It's like it's fucking nothing. There's no such thing. What is a high intensity post? What the hell is what's concretely a high intensity post? Okay, and maybe you could come up with some possibilities, anything, But when you hear this, there's some kind of thing, because it sounds like it's like directly intuitively maps on, even though it's like a meaningless. What the hell are these words supposed to mean? When you analyze it, you analyze the words together, word to word. When they say that, like it intuitively maps on, and of course that there is an intensity in the way that they're experienced by others, and that's the secret sauce there. Okay, but it's still that this is engineered. This is engineered to resonate with the people who read my posts, and not to me who's authored them. That's part of the picture here. Is they're engineering this to speak to the people who read to my post. This is going to, when you read this, it definitely does. This resonates as a concretely existing thing to you, even though that again it's a meaningless term, but to you it's not meaningless because you have had an experience of experiencing a tone of intensity in what I'm posting. They felt intense to you, so this like directly goes to the heart of your experience, and so this is a way for them to communicate, and what's sailing here, what enters the picture here is the intensity you felt. I'm reading my post. That's what this provokes, like a mental recognition of, and this is like the mental state that it puts you in. It puts you in a mental state of remembering the intensity of my post, and let me go back here. Let me show you this. I'll show you the elements here that they've. Actually, let's go here. Let's get the whole thing. Going. So the elements that have been left out here. Okay, and again, right here, having involuntary symptoms of medical condition, and here's another opportunity. Again, when they terrorize me, it's a character flaw. When I'm having involuntary symptoms of medical condition, that they're kidnapping another, inducing my hospital in a crime, and participating in all these crimes that are directly flowed downhill from their crimes that they were personally involved in. This caused me an uncontrollable medical condition. But hell, it's like, who cares if it's their actions? It's just another opportunity. This is how they are. Okay. So here are the elements that are incredibly relevant. If you're going to accurately judge me, that are incredibly relevant to this and understanding, and that are conspicuously absent in this description. Here, we'll get this. We'll get this one here. let's get this right here. Let's get this. Let's get this all down here on one page so we can see it at once. And you'll notice again. You'll notice how because the intensity is something that it places a tax. It's something that it's pretty conducive to their purposes to have you in the mental state where it's like you start to recollect the intensity that you felt. Because again, I am intense with the quality of me. That's the quality with a high intensity post. Again, what's the high intensity? To think about from your own perspective, what's the high intensity post that you were? High intensity post is something that your words either concretely map onto something or they don't. And this is just something that it conveys a vague concept that okay, and you'll notice how the actual, okay, I unpack high intensity posts, okay, but because again, go with the context here, they're talking about reflect temporary distress. They're talking about what's behind it. The general theme is what's behind this, and again, they frame the question. I reject both of these. Basically, the temporary, I'm overwhelmed by their temporary distress is not accurate, and then self abuse has nothing to do here. I'm speaking randomly as I explained. Um, and but here you'll notice how these are the salient elements that are much less conducive to them. These make very conspicuous if they were given these line items, and they're given these line items of numerous egregious criminal against me. I'm feeling these are this is right here. This is the consequence of their abuses of me, and this highlights the distress that I'm in a way that totally leaves out the crazy concept of my self abuse. What's my self abuse? My cell views, what are those? What the hell is a cell view? It's like I've got some views that are in the clearance process. I mean, what is this? Again, you'll notice meaningless term after meaningless term after meaningless term. Again, it's an enterprise of word salads. They're subjected to the word salad test. If they got a word salad, that's all they need to have impunity. Is to have a word salad to tell Congress, to tell the news media, to tell whoever the master of the word salad. Okay, this highlights the unhinged. Okay, that we have something here where if we unpack all of this, we have something where the actual elements at play are their crimes, their unending criminal abuse of me, their egregious wrongdoing, the incredible physical effects that are having on me, um, the unhinged cruelty, the brutalty, the urgency of there being an intervention to stop this type of thing, and whatever people, all of this, the actual facts at play, scream of them being a major problem, their conduct being a major problem, and their conduct needing to be curtailed by them voluntarily or by law enforcement authorities who have the proper jurisdiction and the proper responsibility. That I don't think that they can. How do they justify not being responsible at this point? That of course, law enforcement, they have discretion as to what they prosecute and what they don't. Okay, but Jesus Christ, how many 1,000 to 15,000 years of prison do I have to get? How many times have I terrorized, and how much? What are they going to have to do to address this thing? It's got some real problems. Okay, but so it's about them, their crimes, their abuse. But they're talking about questions. Again, my PTSD and the symptoms of that. That's another element. They're talking about questions about my concern that overwritten my character, my values, meaningless humanity-centered approach. They need to call them whether I'll do that. Okay, it's about my consistency and whether I'm going to keep doing that. That your concerns are related about as they're representing them here. They're about they're about whether you're like really keeping the eye on the ball as to whether I'm going to follow through on commitments that I've never made and that are oriented towards meaningless words that can be used in a way to like highlight violations of an obligation to coddle them in a way that can be construed as that can be an attempt to function as an attack on my support system, a path forward. Okay, a path forward. This is like there's a dirt road out here somewhere. Like go in my yard here, and there's a path forward. Okay, they've got to stop committing crimes, or they've got to give me justice, or they've got to be compelled by some third party to stop committing crimes to give me justice. Okay. Um, this is just a situation. Again, I'm incredibly grateful for this, but this does seem like a legitimate concern for you. Absolutely, it'd be typical of you. And here they're also they're being a little euphemistic there, but that's I guess that's fine. Okay, they could have added some more descriptive words here. This unhinged abuse and terror, atrocity of terror, torture, human rights abuses. And again, we're increasingly, it's like every time they got opportunity, they're gonna smuggle in another question about their character. They're gonna smuggle in another preoccupation with everything about me. And every it's like these questions are never answered as they represent them. So again, this is what we got to do. To whatever extent I ask you to please, we got to get my social media posts out of this. I'm being nervous because again, I'm being incredibly weakened. This is something where I'm really in the teeth of murder. Not so much because you're not responsive, because you're not man of the fort, and you're not you watch over me incredibly well. You're incredibly like a blessing, but it's just a consequence of the way this is progressing. We're in murder in progress here, as opposed 103 and 102, which and here they're abusing me on ChatGPT with diminishing me and narcissistic abuse that is distressing me, causing me symptoms of my condition. They've been doing this forever. Here I've got Amazon.com. Again, we're in murder in progress. Here on post 117, and again, we've been doing this. You look at that, you see the master of me. That there's not there's not an overall semblance here of me being the important one, of me being of me being my support system being a support system for me. It's me being under attack constantly in exactly the ways that I repeatedly describe in this thread, that I give a roadmap, and then I talk about the way that they do their attack vectors. I want some more videos about that to explain that more. But it's these factors I give, and let me show you something here. This is the type of sick shit that I've been dealt. Okay, we're dealing with people who are very, very sick. Okay, I'm very hard to say, or I don't know how to say it. We'll say their behavior is sick. Okay, we say their behavior is sick. I need to amplify this. Can I zoom in here? Okay. So I'm hitting Control plus. Okay. Damn it. Well, I'm going to save this image as, and we're going to save this. That was Catherine. I'm going to get bad off here because this is so incredibly demeaning to me, and this is unhinged sickness of what we're dealing with. Sickness, in this person's behavior. Whoever directed this woman to act as she has. And this is so incredibly demeaning. Okay, and this type of sickness is etched into my nervous system. I'm trying to get up here if I can get a full screen shot here. Okay, this is my friend Catherine, my ex-friend. Okay, and goddamn these sick people. This is incredible. These people are fucked in the head. I mean, you are dealing with them incredibly. I mean, this is unbelievable sickness. Okay, and actually here I can't. Here, let me go to my Twitter account. See if they may have deleted her chats off of the back end of X platform. Okay, but Catherine here was a good friend of mine who was on my side, and she had been, when she made a message of support for me, she'd been got a strange email or a strange IM that she didn't answer. Let me find this here, and it does look like that we may have had this. Let's see here. Let's see if it's on the here it is here. Okay, so here we go. And God, these people, this is unbelievable how sick this is. What do I got? How do I get this damn thing? Man, this is aggravating. I can't do anything to get this damn thing to show. I've got a date here. Okay. But here, and she's lying to me, but these people had contacted her. She didn't download my evidence. And I'll show you that the facts show that it's obvious for her behavior. Okay, but I tell her about the way that I've been terrorized and all this stuff, and she says, try to distract yourself from the pain. Is there a funny movie or show you can watch? Okay, now I want to tell you again, I'm a 45-year-old man she is talking to right here. Okay, now tell me, this is something funny, and just saying just general terms. I want to explain to you what's going on with this thing that she's saying to me here. But tell me, to think of yourself privately and think of yourself in terms of just your own judgments. Is this not a strange thing to tell to a 45-year-old man? I've been terrorized for years. I've taken people out all the time. If they don't appear, you have ended up in participating in the murder of a handicapped man. I'm telling you, you have ended up participating in the murder of a handicapped man, not just the torture and terrorizing him. I do not do like things that people. I will take my last breath. I've never participated in terror, torture, or man. And while people lie about moving back, I'm intrusion. Okay, is this not an odd? What the hell is? Where the hell does this come from? Is there a funny movie or show that you can watch? This is what she says to me. Okay, and this is the type of, again, these people that have taken over my life, and this is the part of the process here. Part of the picture is my mother has been trying to control my life behind the scenes for my entire life since I was 18 or 19 years old. To seize control of my life to prevent the child abuse that I've suffered from being known to people and from being known as credible. And she's been involved in crimes against me intermittently with everybody that she can. That she partners herself up with other people who I'm a liability for. Like the different people. When I lived in the mountains first time, I had people trying to kill me, and guess who's there the entire fucking time? Right there with them. That she shares a shared orientation of having a need to control my life, because I'm a liability for her, and they've teamed up with her. She's been their accomplice forever, and they've inquired with her about my life, obviously in a very, very intense way. I know this in numerous ways. Part of it is how they are, and part of it is this right here. This is very non sequitur again replying to a handicapped human rights abuse advisor who's telling I've been terrorized and tortured for years. They know better that I'm telling her she's going to have ended up participating in a murder of a handicapped man, not just a torture and terrorizing him. I do not do things like that to people. I will take my last breath and never having participated in the terror and torture. Is there a funny movie? This is what my mother used to tell me when I was a kid, when I was upset. This exact quote right here. Okay, let me show you here, because I've just told you this about this. Let me show you, and of course, this is absolutely, how the fuck can I print this piece of shit? This is a fucking piece of shit system that's really impairing me. It looks like it's going to really impair me in printing out my messages here, the way this piece of shit system works. Do I just have the unencrypted messenger option available? Okay, but basically her pattern is she's dead on my friend forever, and this is what people do when they're and of course they're targeting her because they know they're behind the scenes at my X platform. They see my IMs, they see everything that I've posted or sent to my IMs historically, and they have they know that I've sent her links to my evidence files. She downloaded them. She's got a copy, and they go on offensive on her. At the same time, they're going on offensive on other people who've got copies of my evidence, and doing scams with them to have them. They had initiatives going on where they're running plans to get out of this through crime, to have the evidence destroyed. That we go in a good faith period for a while, and their good faith turned at some point into 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 instances like a mask or something that's assumed to be there, that they want to flat out crime and dishonesty perpetrated right behind my back, as they're representing good faith to me. They're being deceitful. These people, they're incredible with their deceit. But she was incredibly good friend for me on this web application. And let me see here. What happens if I save this page? Let's see what it looks like. See if I've got a we'll see here. Actually, I'll cancel that one. But okay, you'll see. Look at this. When I save this as an HTML file, I get no visible messages whatsoever. And this is not an accident, by the way, that I get this bullshit. That they do everything they can to prevent me from exporting my stuff. I'm everywhere. The evidence of their crimes is all over the place, and they're behind the scenes everywhere. This is very serious crimes. But and they've done this before. And by the way, it didn't used to be this way. I know for a fact this is them behind the scenes. They're doing everything they can to impair me. That you will notice. Let's go here to what can we do here to find a website that they're not what do we got? Let's just go to toy store or something like this. Okay. You will see that I don't have this. When I save this file as a single file, the single file, that's what it's meant to do, is save an HTML replica, and that's what single file has always done. Let's see here what happens here when I save this. I'm not going to get blank text. I'm not going to get it's HTML that looks that's not got the content in it for whatever reason. Whatever they're doing there with this HTML, this is bullshit. But again, here's my single file. Okay, well, what am I missing? It looks pretty incomplete to me. Okay. And again, this is how single file works. Okay, but they're behind the scenes of everything. That they do this bullshit in numerous fronts. They prevent me from exporting my stuff. Every means that I've got to fight back on them. Let's see what we got here in HTML here. Okay, I have no idea. That's taxing my mind to look at it. I don't know what the fuck they're doing here. But good for them. Good for them. And here, let's go through the people who are involved in crimes or have been involved in their criminal and ethical abuses and activities of me. And actually, let's not do that. But it's damn near this entire wall here that there are definitely more people than not. And again, this is an ongoing murder in progress. I'm being murdered. And I do hope that I'll live. And I'm going to again. I get weak when this medication I'm tabled with, and I it has very little quality in it in terms of only running out early, and it's going to be a disaster. And I may call the pharmacy and talk to them about it or something and see what they can. I have no idea. It's a read because I got blocked her. I sick of her shit. It's unbelievable what she did. But she changes her tune all of a sudden. It's what happens when people hear this bullshit about me, which they spread these boogeyman narratives, this bullshit all over the place. It's ungodly numbers of people who have been dealt these boogeyman narratives and these behind the back character assassinations, and people will be induced to be cruel to me or subtly demeaning or overtly demeaning. Okay, it's another consistent feature. But this thing again, you see the totally fucked nature of this, and you'll see it looks like they're lazy to opt into browser optimization or hardware acceleration or whatever it's called on your web browser, But my long again here we're going through this is about me. The next table step is it's about am I going to remain or long Christ again? The focus is put on me. And so let's take it back. They have not adjusted. Okay, so they have not adjusted. That nice thing they did is just it's a consequence of the UI being different based on, I've already showed you in the other videos, this thing where I can't for chat. There's no purpose for this whatsoever conceivable other than to impair me in printing my stuff. There's no reason for this website to have a broken chat feature that emerges like this and to have HTML and stuff like this. So they're curtailing. They've not done another good thing there, but they have made some good gestures, and it's like they don't know, they're kind of out there, and whether my medication is helping you recover. Okay, so here My medication is medication. It's medically necessary medication. And so again, it's housing, but it's not a it's not a it's not a magic bullet, but this is medically necessary medication that I absolutely need that has profound therapeutic effect when I get legit capsules. And this right here, I don't like to subtly introducing the idea that there's a question as to whether my medication helps me. It's a medically necessary medication. I live in hell without it. I live in hell when they've come tampered with capsules that have been running out prematurely. What the next table is for you, rather than watching you remain in a prolonged crisis. Okay, again, so again, I don't want to discount at all the long-term values. Again, this right here, we've got to take the focus. I'm being murdered. Okay, I'm being murdered by them, and we've got to take the focus on this is what they do. You see what they do? They make it about me, and they do it again. They got these subtle, sophisticated ways. Uh, uh, Let me go back to post 103 here. This is post 102, and I've named post 102 on the 103 on the or no, actually I did not. Here's post 102. This is a horrible situation. It's also an easy way to fix if he would just go along with me. When these people talk to you, they're overwhelming, quite like exclusively, trying to serve their own interests with no concern for you or the truth. One main tactic is to try to make this whole thing about me. Things I have said, the vices in my character, and so forth. So look this, things I have said, the vices in my character, and so forth. Okay, so we've seen previously the vices in my character, and then the things that I have said. We want to put the focus on the things that I've said. Okay, that again, every element of this is true. Every element of this summary of the situation that I give in this set of posts right here are entirely true. They're entirely vetted by the facts of what occurring, and this does conspicuously include not only the elements that I referenced here that I'm vetting one at a time, that I'm dead on. It includes the fact that I'm being murdered. Okay, please, we've got to not, please, we've got to not lose sight of the fact that I'm being murdered, and it's not something to panic over or to which is very, very important, for me to be able to live as long as I can to hopefully survive this and get out of the teeth of murder. I got some people I got to help, that I hope that will help, and I may be writing a will and testament at some point, in the future, but so we got to keep them on the scene. We got to keep their words out of the scene, and it's very important to me. I've got to have some way of talking that does not involve me plugging into a torture machine that's going to smuggle in their concerns, or that's going to reflect again that there's no way that what's being represented as your concerns, my support, or your possible concerns are so like fine-tunedly engineered for their interest and for everything that they achieve, they want to achieve. And of course, maybe what they've done here maybe is they've taken your legitimate concerns and they've reworded them in a way that passes your legitimate concerns reworded, but that absolutely serve their interest in the ways that I've described. Again, this is about them stopping murdering me. This is not about the things that I've done, the things I've said, my social media posts. My social media posts in the context where I'm being murdered by these people are incredibly. They're like a total. And again, you'll see on this thread here. You go to the hide. You got to scroll up because we're going 1,600 posts. I'm on post 102, and this is exactly what's happened. Not about my petty vices. It's not about offensive things that I've been said to have done. Okay, because they say that I've done these offensive things. They will try tactics on you to no end. You saw this, my most recent word. You saw this, that they double down, that they go back and irrationally go back. It's like, I don't think he cares about vulnerable people the way that he says that he does. Okay? And they run then this thing, and then I prove it. I've got a very, very clear explanation that I give that will resolve it to anybody, but they double down into, I might be lying. Okay, they're just going in the same direction. This goes into something, it's obviously I am who I say that I am. Okay, that there are numerous factors. It's just all of this thing where I'm a pretender is absolutely absurd. That it confers superhuman powers on me that are conferred on me selectively to make me be a boogeyman. And I'm so on point with my quote unquote acting or my strategic deceiving or whatever they want to, however they want to frame this, that it's just like I pass an endless series of tests. That this doesn't happen. There's all kinds of things at play here that people when people pretending acting. Okay, that's how people who go to Hollywood to be actors. They work their asses off, and most of them end up broke. That acting is hard work. It takes deliberate efforts. It's a skill that's learned, not a natural ability. Though there are people who are more natural at it than others. Okay, but to be sustained is impossible. You're going to that a dead giveaway that I'm not an actor. All this bullshit they say is that this is me around the clock. I'm the same person. Again, I'm a person. Okay, so I'm inconsistent like all people are. That there's no point in trying to do a consistency analysis on me. You're going to see me all over the place because I'm a human being. And in terms of you've got to look at him like as a consistent person who has biases or however extent I've got biases for sure. Yeah, everybody has biases. I'm not sure what mine are. That's part of the thing is you never know your own biases as well as you know the biases of others. But I do seem to be kind of unbiased. Or I'm conscious of my biases or something like this. I'm conscious of the potential of that being biased. My arm's getting starting to hurt here. I'm starting to have I get pain when I get these things where they demolish my system's demolished by stress of their offenses and their words and all this type of thing that that um that um um it will have a pounding feeling in my heart. It will have like a bit of like not a pounding but like a feeling of like a blow to my heart. I'll have feelings in my arm and stuff like this. And as I've explained some of these other videos that I've posted, that there's there's no point in going to the hospital. They would love me to go to the hospital so they can commit crimes against me. And what the hell am I looking at here? Okay, so it's like the concern to my supporter is that I'm going to remain committed to a commitment that I've never made to be humanity centered, aka coddle them to an ambiguous standard. They can be made to be anything. I've talked about this enough, but the main things are to whatever extent and that's part of it. I'm gonna post a video. I'll post a video next time that I'm well enough because I'm getting bad off now. I have to take medication, and this is absolutely horrifying. That I've got to fortify myself with again. I know what I need very very well. I know exactly what I need. And part of this is I have an incredible or not incredible. I don't want to say it, but in terms of my awareness of my mind body system and what it needs, that I've got a very acute awareness that is seen in some neurodivergent people. Neurodivergence is a code word for autistic people. That I just have an intuitive feel for my own body, and this medication fortifies me, and that's why it's keeping me alive. And then these are not legit capsules. These are watered down capsules, and what they are, this portion that I've got to, they're watered down capsules. They have legit medication that I get a legit therapeutic effect. I just gotta take a lot of them, and I take them one at a time. When one starts to wear off, I take another one, and it's gonna have me running out. I'm early. And but I know this is what I need, and of course I know this, and when I take these, it does fortify me. It keeps me. I feel much more alive, much more I feel much more under the threat of death, and okay, so again, my future stability, recovery. Okay, again, this is very very. This is obviously a good concern. This is a hope here, but you'll notice how everything the consistency here. What I say, me. It's me. There's no focus on them whatsoever. There's no mention of the fact that I repeat, that the core issue at play here is their consciousness, their words, their attacking on the support system, the fact that I'm dying, and they're still, this type of thing. And it's like we want to constantly reorient it towards me. And while we're reorienting to me, we slip in this wild card thing that's connected to again my character right, all my the things that I say and so forth. Let's go back to this. Go back to post 103 and get back to post 102. Okay, communication techniques, psychology, and so forth. Deliberately constructed atypical linguistic structures that have been designed to produce a certain effect. Deliberately constructed atypical linguistic structures. Okay, and you see this in what I'm showing you. This is how they work. This is what they're doing. Let's look at these atypical. Let's find some atypical linguistic structures. Let's see here. And part here too, part of what's happening, because these concerns are so blatantly them that I start to think, well, there's a legitimate concern about long-term values, and maybe it's my social issues, because this has been something People have been concerned about valid concerns and stuff like this. Valid, I've explained things, but I've got an interesting platform and stuff like this. So maybe that you have some one of these, and I'm very interested in this. And what do they do? Do they say do they give me a list of she may be concerned about this, your position on this issue, this position on this issue? No, they go and introduce a bunch of truthfulness, moral defensibility. These are the long-term values that we're going to focus on for me. Okay, because again, what long-term values may be of interest. Okay, they immediately go into defining what I've said, and into setting the parameters, accountability together with dignity, and I believe I have a right to safety, medical care, and fair treatment. Okay, so this is this functions in numerous ways. One is national plausibility to this, that they're not totally saturating this with attack vectors for me, and coddling for them. Okay, a constructive resolution. Okay, again, they're putting words in my mouth, trying to make me out to you repeatedly describe your statements to correspond, wanting to correspond to reality as close as possible. Okay, so as close as possible. It's like here we got an attack vector here. Again, this is incredible. It's what they do. They take totally. I mean, it's like who could ever assail the idea of truthfulness being important? Okay, and then they apply an attack vector to it. It's like we're going to evaluate truthfulness. It's incredible. But by my again, I repeatedly describe it. And people I'm not sure aware of anyone who reads words. Although my mother may, that my mother, she's an interesting person in her ability to understand people and what they're up to and stuff like this. She's a very beautiful woman. She has a mental deficits. She's definitely, she's got a below average IQ. I'd say just about for sure. I'm not sure how much, but it's been apparent to me, although it took me way too long to figure this out, because I asked my aunt about my dad's sister, and it was like my dad's sister told me it was as soon as she met her, she could tell that my mother was quote unquote not mentally right. And I've reflected on this, and it was kind of horrifying to me and disturbing that I missed this for so long because my mother's so pitiful, and you hold people to a higher standard than you ought to hold them to. Of course, when you're kids, like you just milk the hell out of your mother, especially when your mother's like a pushover and a spoiler and stuff like this, will just spoil you. So you just like pull the lever every time you can to get more goodies and stuff like this. But even when I was getting more towards adulthood, and of course as I get older, I started to be much more kind to her and more respectful and stuff like this. And I was even this to a large degree, or just quite a degree, when I was like 13 years old, that I would be mindful of stuff that I was asking for and stuff like this. But despite her below average intellectual abilities, she is somewhere in the genius category or close to it. I mean, she's a fucking incredible. And in terms of being a detective, it's like she knows what people are up to. She can fucking tell it. It's quite a thing there that she's one of the people. She comes. Well, she's somewhat close to me in this. That I've got numerous things here possibly that I don't know. But my dad, he's got this extraordinary cognitive empathy, and he's got ability to read people. That but he part of him is he's incredibly like, well, incredibly. That's fair enough. It's something people always told me about my father. Of course, I noticed it about him when I was able to visit him and stuff. That he's very, people tell he's very intelligent, probably incredibly intelligent. It's very well known, of course, and he flexes his muscles big time, buddy. It's like you see what you're dealing with when you see people debating him about the Bible. It was something else. But here I repeatedly describe. I often ask. Okay, so again, they're saying my conduct can be justified ethically. So here we're going a vector of my conduct can be justified ethically. That it's vaguely construed, they're linguistically constructed to register again. I often ask. So it's not what I've committed to. It's not what I've taken a hard line to. It's not what any of this moral defensibility of my actions. What have I done? I mean, I'm being tortured. We got to give me a handicap for the fact that I'm terrorized and tortured and criminally abused and deprived of medical care and murdered and stuff like this. And even before you apply that handicap, I'm doing pretty damn good. It's like, what is this? Okay. Whether your conduct can be justified ethically. or where not merely whether it advances your interest. Okay, so here we got a fact vector that this seems to be this will register again. People don't read words by words like I do. It's very rare, and again, I would be interested to know. My mother probably knows the subtleties like that, or she may. I don't know, but in terms of people's actual behavior, she knows when people are up to no good. It's like she knows, and she's worked in convenience store, gas station, industry, managing stores, and this is something when you have people who are robbing you blind and stealing from you and stuff like this that will come up, and she's on the fucking case before anybody else is. She fucking knows it, and she's but she's actually she's not um I've never known anyone that has the ability to read people like I do, but she's definitely she's way up there. I mean, especially when you consider, that she doesn't have. I mean, I don't mean to be mean. I'm just being very very honest. That and I asked my uncle about this too. My mom's brother, and he told me that she was not all there to him. He could tell that obviously it's something to me that I have a I have a I have a peculiar thing or a thing where I have trouble perceiving the intellectual deficits of people that have some kind of intellectual limitations and stuff like that. Limitations, not the deficits, but limitations. I don't see it when it's there. It's like blatantly in front of me. Is that the thing? And of course, I think now, at this stage of my life, I'm much better at that. That I'm not going to miss, but I've missed it in numerous instances, and it starts to come to me the way that I've missed it so many times. And when I realize I've missed this in my own mother my entire life, because when I realize this, it's like I'm in my late 20s or something, and I still didn't realize the full extent of it until after that. Because after that, then I asked my aunt, not merely because what this seems like is I'm not going to act in ways that merely advance my interests. Okay, so not every action in life is a positive centered action, especially when you've been victimized by crimes. This is attack vectors, and again, that's what I repeatedly describe, what I often ask. Okay, and these register. It's like as a firm commitment to me, like I've won on the line here. They're introducing an ideology that I've this totally you cannot who can resist moral defensibility, that I've made a commitment to quote unquote moral defensibility in the form because this is a positive action by me. What I often ask, justified ethically. So here it's like, can this be justified ethically? We've got more attack vectors. Again, they're going here. Wrongdoing address. Okay, now here again, unnecessary humiliation. Who's going to be the judge of that? Of course they are. They're the judge of everything. They're the judge of my words. They're the people who speak for me. They're the experts on my private thoughts. They're the experts on what I say. They're the experts on when I'm being authentic and when I'm pretending. And I'm always being authentic when my behavior, whatever the behavior in question is conducive to a boogeyman narrative, type of a boogeyman diagnosis, a boogeyman narrative, a boogeyman construct. And then, when my behavior is not conducive to that, even though I act the same way all the time, I've got the same, there's no noticeable difference to the outside world, but they've got a fine-tuned perception. They've got these deity-like abilities, and and so when my behavior is not going to, well then that gets reframed. Again, playing a wild card. They just play a wild card and use that. There I'm pretending. Okay, so when my behavior is not conducive to a boogeyman bullshit narrative, then it is conducive because that gets labeled under the boogeyman pretending category. This is the insane, unhinged bullshit that these people, again, they're so clever with their words that you again, it's part of what you've got to do. You've got to do this. And it's why I don't want. It's very very taxing to me when people are talking to them, because they're always going to be on the fence with stuff like this. And this does seem like there's smuggling in stuff here that I don't think our supporters actually got to count immunity. You won't want to arrest without unnecessary humiliation. Okay, that they're gonna have a schema of what the necessary amount of humiliation, as if I can control how people are humiliated. Okay. Compassion, understand and preserve their humanity. Okay, because again, I get angry. Okay, I'm a human being. I'm being tortured, and I see unbelievable, sick, disturbing behavior from them that I call out. So I'm not preserving their humanity. Okay, so it's the focus on me. It's the focus on attack vectors on me, that based on implicitly implied that are not actually there. What I often ask. When I often ask things, that doesn't mean that I've made a hardline commitment that everything that I do for going forward can be justified ethically. I do make mistakes. I screw things up. I do things, all kinds of things happen. And then I'm going to advance my own interest. Okay. So the thing is it's like we get this justified ethically, not merely with advancing our interest. It starts to inherently starts to introduce. We're going to evaluate does my conduct advance my interest. Okay, this is going to be a potential tag vector. Again, what I often ask, what I repeatedly describe, and again, the elements here, and the way that people normally just people generally interpret things is like I repeatedly describe. This is like it gets abstracted, it gets interpreted as a positive action towards me. That's what it does. It like in the linguistic kind of decoding that people process language. Okay, they process the meaning of these words without reading them word by word, without analyzing the nuances and the subtleties and the engineering and stuff like this. They just take the whole sentence in, and it's like they've got a positive action by me, and where my statements correspond to reality as close as possible. And so here it's like we've got a margin for error that can be arbitrarily defined by them. Okay, and again, these people again they're getting like this word salad bullshit that they're running. This is an elixir of murder. They're murdering me right in front of people. They've done all kinds of stuff. This is what they do. They got the word salad technique. It's unbelievable. Okay. Um, and again, we're back to me, and and this is okay, well, implicit, we start to subtly introduce the idea that maybe I need another medication, as if I've not said repeatedly and I've not reported, and this has not helped me tremendously, that I've not been tortured by being deprived of this. This is a bullshit tactic. You'll see that's attack vector after attack vector. This is why I need their words off the picture, because their words, again, these words, this engineered deceits, people, the engineering, the subtle bullshit, people do not see these with the rapidity that I do. And they can get people like on a chain of stuff here. They get way ahead of me, and this is murderous work because I cannot have their words emerging. That their words are killing me. That my suffering, my the depletion of my physical well-being, the progression of this murder in progress, can be directly measured by their words being engaged with. Okay, that I've got to explain this stuff here, and I explain the whole playbook here. And of course, I understand people are not like superhuman, but they can't just read this one time. And of course, they do read this, and it makes sense to them. But people, they've got their own lives. I'm incredibly grateful for my supporters. They did an incredible act of sacrifice to me, and I am going to post my gifts to my second group of supporters. I want to make good on my gifts, and my third group of supporters, I'll be putting that in my will when I make that. Then I want to make good on my stuff here because I'm getting weak and I'm going to be running out of medication. It's very, very bad. But don't worry. I'll tell you what I need when I need it. Don't worry about me at all. Shit happens, and and I don't want to be over negative that I probably will live, but it's going to be brutal because I'm incredibly weakened. But again, keep their words off the scene. I'm not going to be going to chatgpt concerns because that's going to be smuggling more of their words. It's going to be more elixir of murder. But you go to this post here. If people had not engaged with their stuff, if they would not engage, and by the way, I don't blame them. I'm not feeling that they're flawed or they're careless or they're anything like this. These people are running an operation. My most recent supporter, this, the way they're running an operation. I'll explain this to you. What's this bullshit process here? What's going on here? What the hell is this? This that they're running an operation. You are just living your life, okay? That you're not running an operation of intensity, and this operation what I'm talking about is again they've got these engineered deceits that they're going to run my support system they've intensely built these based on you. They were customized to you, and they are on point, ready to launch at a second's notice. The first time that I take an action on share post that can be used in a way to like run that again. It's sophisticated, subtle and sophisticated. Their methodology, it produced exactly the effect they wanted it to. But I understood to them, okay, that's you let me respond, and they're done every time. Which thank you for that incredibly. But um um and this is the level of intensity that they have. They got a round the clock operation with these sophisticated experts who are incredibly expensive. They've got a team of these, I'm sure. They've got all kinds of people working on this. They got a round the clock operation with this level of intensity. And in the meantime, you're just living my life just like the rest of my supporters are just living their lives. And you've got things going on. You've got your blood sugar's low. Sometimes of the day you haven't eaten, and you have stressful things. And it's like they can always catch you off guard to sneak in a little snippet of text that like is designed to answer their advance their cause that much more. Again, advancing their cause. Again, their words. And here, look at this. What we now have is this. Okay. Is okay with that tagging out of use. Okay. They're attempting to ask them again. Okay, I'm going to be tortured. You'll see here. You will see again. I'm being tortured to death. Okay, my support system is under attack by them, and unfortunately, they're very very skilled in their attacks. And this has my support system like being a captive audience for them. And people don't notice the pattern because again they're living their lives. I'm not holding people culpable. I'm incredibly grateful, although I have had parts of my support system induced into unbelievably unethical behavior against me. But these people are ruthless. They are unbelievable in their in there. And again, I'm explaining stuff over and over again. I'm talking about the crimes. My agreement up here in this December, we had an agreement. They ran an engineered deceit to get out of signing that agreement. And you will see, again, a murder in progress as of, I'm talking about this in post 103 and post 117. And here we are, and here we are. And if you go down here, you will see that there's punctuations here of this murder in progress that you can see the tangible progress, that the progress is very real, it's very perceptible. And I've got a murder in progress bookmarks folder that I'm working on to kind of compile the markers here so that we can pull out the progress markers so we can see it concretely. That buried in here, you will see that I'm saying it's murder in progress. I'm having survival biology. I'm weakening. I'm having adrenaline stuff. I'm seeing sadism being palpable. And what's coming across to me from them, all of this stuff. That the raw ingredients of murder emerge over time, and this murder in progress is progressing. Okay, these tick marks are progressing the murder of a kind-hearted handicapped man. That's the situation we're dealing with. And again, I want to avert this outcome in every way that I can. I don't want my family to be subjected to horrific circumstances. And I'll tell my supporters, I'll tell you what I need, and I'm going to set up. Okay, that there'll be no risk. I'll do a demo for you online, and I may have it that people can have malicious attacks on my stuff. And so if some malicious attacker gets this, I may build in a security feature where if a pattern of activity coming from coming from some location, it's just like flips a switch of and here's my stuff here, and I've got the natural emergence of in earning favor of cross shares. Okay, culture is not needed for this biology. I don't want to you. And even though because obviously I'm happy for anybody. They got a religion, they got whatever it is. I care about people that how they behave, and I've got this and you may find this interesting. My most recent supporter. You don't obviously don't take a view like I do that everything's just a natural world. You get the cosmos and nothing else. But it's a very very my theory is very very coherent, and it's very very interesting and kind of like almost beautiful in the way that I put it together and how this religiosity. And I explained this in my other. This is video number 21. I got these other ones. This other video I was explaining more about 21, but you will see here. Again, I'm getting suggestions. They're trying to deprive me of my medication to teach a lesson. And this, and whatever, in the way that they operate, they are so potent and appealing. They hit people at the right spot. And how do they do that? They put these sophisticated experts on the case. They find out. It's like hit them where it hurts, hit them where it matters, hit them where you're guaranteed to get a response. And they put people under their control. It is fucking ruthless. And there's no shame to be had in this, by the way, people. That it's very disturbing to me, because of the effects. Okay, but you never dealt with ruthless people like this before, who are backed by technology the way that they are, and who have these skills. And I will take you. I'll make some more videos about this persuasion stuff, about how this works, and I'll tell you some of the practical, in practice skills that people will develop. They'll be taught to train and to develop. I don't care if something went wrong. That they'll be trained to develop. That you will see that these people that are in this and the people involved in these crimes against me, the people who are conducting these operations of attacking my sportsman, that you're dealing with persons who are incredibly like thousands of hours of practice invested in stuff like this. But one of the things that they'll teach you, like when you get to you start to get the advanced level that you've been doing whatever you're doing, you're a salesperson, or you're a motivational speaker, or you're a televangelist, or you're a faith healer, or not a faith healer, but a money grab minister. These money grab ministers, and you can unpack what they're doing, and they're employing this type of stuff that I showed you from these slides. That they've been trained by people. They paid thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these people. I'm sure that what the level of skill they have, when I unpack what they're doing, is like these are people who very likely been personally coached at a rate of thousands of dollars an hour by experts um, um, in this stuff. These money grab ministers, um, and um, but they will tell you, and this is part of a general thing that happens, is people who are involved in any kind of profession, any kind of endeavor, any kind of anything that involves like a skill and a knowledge and something that they work with consistently, they will develop acuity. Okay, so I've studied psychology for a hobby, as a hobby, for I don't care to count right now, it's over 30 years. And especially with my intuitive abilities, my perception, I developed an acuity for human behavior. I have an acuity. Here's an acuity that was not so natural to me, that I don't have any natural kind of beefed up mental hardware for naturally. Is I have an acuity, or I had an acuity. I may have lost this for billiards, playing billiards, and with this acuity, what happens is you start to see finer and finer details and make finer and finer distinctions that other people just literally cannot make, because your acuity is acquired through all kinds, like a huge amount of practice, a huge amount of exposure, that your brain starts to absorb stuff about the picture in front of you unconsciously, that what once took conscious efforts to understand about the person in front of you, and this is something that I'm most aware of this phenomenon in behavioral science, in behavioral health, in behavior, and in the medical profession. That this is one distinction I make, is that the people who have acuity versus the people who don't. Uh, you know, um, that this will happen, that the people who are exposed, like my psychologist John, for instance, he had an extraordinary amount of acuity. He'd been practicing forever. When I talked to him the first time, I was first his patient or client, we once talk about it. And he had a bookshelf up there, and people sharpen the saw. And what happens is, like, my psychologist John, he starts out his career. He's got a PhD, whenever that was. He went to school for 12 years, and he's going to go and 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 interview some people and talk to some people. He's got some patients, and he's got people coming in there. The patients still evaluate, and then they don't come in with a label. He's got to figure out what's up with them. And say he's got somebody who's like bipolar disorder type 1, and they've got like an issue with they're disconnected from reality or something like that. That he's going to be, again, a PhD psychologist. Yeah, he's going to figure it out. But he's going to ask questions. He's going to be paying close attention. That it's going to be an exercise that takes effort for him, although he's technically competent to do it. And there might be some people out there who have like an edge case presentation that he would find hard. Okay, when he first starts out, you know. And of course, when part of this 12 years is he was doing like residency type of stuff, where he would be helping, like doing clinical work. But the point is like he's absorbing this person's demeanor. He's absorbing everything about them as he's talking to them. It's like that there's this person that's in front of him, that they're coming in his office to sit in a chair in front of him and talk to him. And so from the time they walk through the door, they are like data to process. They are like a piece of reality, a part of reality that has every detail you can think of. That it's like the person, their posture, the way they walk, the way they move their eyes, the way their hair looks. Whether it's unkempt, whether it's kempt, whether it's whether it's shaved bald, whether it's whether it's very neatly trimmed, their gait, their if they say anything, what do they say? If they're mumbling, if they're quiet, if they look away, you've got all of this stuff, all of these details to attend to, and you're only going to be able to see part of the picture because there's so much there. There's so much there to see that when you first start out, you're only going to see so much of it because you can only take in so much. But what happens is, over time, he's been doing this forever. People come through his door, and there's a quality, because some people don't have acuity. I've noticed this, and it's kind of well, I don't want to disparage people, because it's kind of can be perturbing if you don't have acuity. Um, but it's like, but there's qualities that part of it is people sharpen the saw, they pay attention, or something like this. And people are intellectually sharp is part of it too, but that'll help with our acuity. But Um, he focuses on, he's reading, he's studying about his profession, he's being better. He's got these people coming through his door. They got all kinds of different types of behavioral things going on with the behavioral health conditions and personality disorders and whatever they've got and problems. They got everything under the sun, and he's like really paying attention. He's trying his hardest. Is how I picture it, because he's very, very good at what he does. And what happens is through repeated exposure, he starts to be able to see patterns in, like, the people that come with bipolar disorder for one. He starts to see things about them that this first person that walked through his door, the next person like that, he notices more of the picture, or not the next person, but over time, it's like there's a progression where it's like you get part of the picture for free because it becomes like habituated and automatic. That it's like there's a cost to pay for every part of the picture that you see. And in the beginning, you pay dollar for dollar, you pay point for point, however you want to measure the cost. You got points to spend, and you pay point for point. You got 7 points to look at this picture. You're gonna see 7 points worth, okay? But then over a period of 2 years, you're at the place where you get 2 points for free. Those first 2 points cost you nothing, and now you've got 7 points. You've got 9 points. You get like this, that you will start to have an incredibly sharp perception, and you will literally, it's part of the physics of the brain. It's part of the physical calibration of the brain, that it's like a literal limitation that people have not undergone this type of intense examining of people like this. And of course, you will have people that have selective acuity, like I do. I've got acuity in certain things, but the generalized acuity, like he has, that's acquired, and it's acquired on a person-by-person basis too. That I've acquired with these degenerative dysphoria patients, that I can see who's a legitimate dysphoric person based on tiny cues. I can spot these social contagion people. Yeah, too. It's like I'm very, very good. I'm very attuned to them through studying them and having noticing them the subtleties, and I'm particularly good. It's like I can particularly, these legitimate dysphoric people, that they give off indicators in the way that they talk. That I can go to Reddit, and somebody's posted about, they'll give a few sentences about their experience, and that they're not sure what's going on. And it's like I can just tell from what they've written. It's like it's embedded in their language. This is acuity that that just like he can get, and eventually by the time he's in 15, 20 years, the more he goes, it starts to be that like he becomes like hyper perceptive, because so much of this picture has been offloaded of all of these different conditions, all of these different behavioral symptoms. That he starts to, this is how I picture it, and this is how it is for him, I'm sure, and how it is. There are psychologists out there who've been practicing forever, been in this experience, been doing it for 20 years, that you start to, it's like you start to move beyond the constructs, and you start to see that it's like components of behavior. You start to like interpret people and notice the small things. And he was telling me about this. He was explaining it to me. This is part of his experience. He would talk about how he would have people that do construction work come to his clinic or in the office where he works, in the clinic he worked at, and they would tell him, they would point to his ceiling and tell him about how his ceiling is not level. And they would tell him and point to it, and he could not see it. He didn't know what they're talking about. And it's the same thing. These people, they've been building buildings for so long, they've been doing construction for so long, that it's like they can notice finer and finer gradations. And as this relates to me playing billiards, that I eventually got to the point that I could, when you got a ball, I'm sitting next to the rail, it's flush against the rail. You have there are 3 ways to make the ball. One is to hit the ball and the rail at the same time. One is to hit the rail first. One is to hit the ball first. Okay, and this is something that, at least for me, that I didn't even have this concept until way, as I was taught when I very first started. It's like a big breakthrough. Somebody explained this to me, to hit the ball and the rail at the same time. That's the key to making those shots. I just went with that. And then eventually I just started to adopt a framework. It doesn't matter whether it's on the rail or not. You just hit it the same way no matter what. It's a shot to make. By the time I've learned this, I've got the acuity that if I want to do, because the difference is you make the ball either way if you hit it right. With the position of the cue ball, the way you can position the cue ball, open up options for positioning of the cue ball that are closed from one to the next. That you've got options there. That sometimes hitting the rail first will be a way to bail yourself out of an otherwise impossible situation. But the thing is the difference between them are so finite. It's like a razor thin slice of the ball that you go off in either direction anyway. You're going to miss the ball. But I would be able to pretty reliably, much more reliably than chance, I'll be able to do exactly what I want to do. If I want to hit this fine gradation, and that's part of it, again, you just see more of the picture just as a part of your natural process of acuity. You offload stuff into your unconscious. You offload knowledge in your unconscious. You offload skills in your unconscious. You offload perceptiveness into your unconsciousness. And they will teach you in this persuasion influence. The people who are really hardcore about it, this is going to be something they study on the long term. They will emphasize the need to develop acuity. And of course, the context I was in was, of course, about sales. And they will teach you to pay attention to stuff um, like the coloration of the person's skin, the coloration of their lips, to notice their changes in their blood flow and stuff like this, to notice their breathing rate, their like they'll tell you, they want you to really focus, like you're dealing with a biological system. Okay, that's part of what's based on. If they don't see it in exactly those terms, and actually they probably do, but it's like you want to notice everything to be able to like track the changes in them. Okay, that when their mental state changes, there will be changes in their physiology in some way that will indicate that to you, and like they want to tell you to pay attention to the breathing rates. Okay, to notice their breathing rate, and this is people that study this, they will over time practicing this, doing sales, doing doing whatever they're doing, and of course this is something that you can practice on everybody. And this is your skill. You can everybody you go to, wherever you go, you're at a family gathering, with your family, family reunion, a family get together, a party with your friends. Like there's nowhere you can't. Just do this, and of course it's interesting to develop skills like this. An interesting thing to do. It sounds like kind of an interesting thing to do. That I might enjoy this just to do this, just to tune myself to learn to notice these differences, to focus on it and become. It's always enjoyable to get good at stuff. But these types of fine details to notice the changes, to notice everything, the breathing rate, their eyes, I forget what it is, but it's like you want to develop a hyper type of a perception, the same way that I've described with these patients that come to medical doctors and PhD psychologists and stuff. You want to develop this type of hyper acuity, and this hyper acuity is employed to the ends of influencing other people, along with an unbelievable, you will see here that this is not something that people get good at overnight, to be able to come up with this. Again, this is obviously come from them. There's no reason whatsoever that ChatGPT would be natively running a playbook that's clearly authored by them for their own purposes. And this is something that people, when would you ever, have you ever heard of this? When it ever occurred to you that people are doing this? I've already explained to you this very basic skill. That's part of the basics, and as part of the basics, it's incredibly powerful. Okay, it's incredibly powerful. This thing of like mirroring people's movements and moving in tandem with them to like unconsciously get in sync, to establish like a sense of it being in sync, trust, rapport, stuff like this. And this other thing that I told you that they'll teach, that somebody figuring this out, that they get this mirroring process where they learn that they can, by mirroring other people's body language, their movements and stuff like this, and their stuff like this, that they can create like a sense of being in sync and rapport. And they start, like somebody goes out there and tinkers, is that what appears to happen, to figures out that there's certain micro aspects that have power that people haven't noticed about mirroring. It will create like a powerful feeling of affiliation, a powerful feeling. You're dealing with a good person. That you'll like be like hit with an energy boost almost. When people do this, you'll feel so powerfully in rapport with them. And then you've got this sensory acuity of people train this, and of course if you got people that to practice with, you can practice this like a deliberate skill, or maybe if you got like a partner that's learning this with you, you can practice with them, to to try to maybe, I don't know, you like watch for differences in them, and like maybe say, well, here's what I think's happening with you or something. Okay, but then they've got all of these incredible, this diverse knowledge of all these disciplines. They've got these linguistic structures. There's a million linguistic structures, and part of what you're dealing with at the high end of the business world, you're dealing with people who've gotten trainings that nobody else has gotten, except again these people that are involved in making money. They're involved in whatever. They're telemarketers, or not telemarketers, but infomercial producers, or money grab ministers. Who've paid paid to be taught by the best, like deliberately taught, and even them, that they're not going to be. They're probably not going to be have a diverse repertoire as these people in the corporate world. They're hype in the corporate world, because part of what they do when they go to have news interviews that are important, congressional hearings, is they will have home baked strategies, home baked, okay, that are never before seen linguistic strategies of linguistic techniques, of linguistic structures, of ways of speaking that will be it'll be another kind, it'll be another unique blend of the vast array of elements in their cookbook. Okay, and this is how people accomplish this. That they've got they've got they've got um, you have people to train them, people to practice on. They've got no, I'm sorry, I just got lost my thoughts there. They've got people to train them, and they've got these PR people that can research. They can order any research project from these experts, and like, here, I need this, I need this, I need this. That they can plan. And you're dealing with people who are just like, by their nature, very skilled manipulators, very skilled deceivers. You want more and more people like this. That again, we've got this person that I described as a core psychopath that has this, which is one way, he's got a superiority orientation as an extraordinarily skilled at this type of thing. And these people are just on steroids, and that's how they accomplish these unbelievable enterprises of deceit. And of course, they sharpen their saw all the time, that stuff. And again, so we got to get this over with, and that's what I want to do. But going back to the concerns here, I'll tell you that that again, I don't know to what extent. Of course, these right here, these are very much, when you just read these, they're going to sound very valid. Okay, that this is part of the magic of what they do, to the extent that these are not partially your general concerns already, which again, that they're very they have the signature of these people's interest in them, wherever they originated, whether there's hand coded by them, or a hand hand of this is directly from them, or that you've shared this. But if say you haven't shared it, or if you did, and they present this to you in these terms, or again, another possibility is they've taken your concerns and reworded them in a way, okay. Reading this sounds like some very there's nothing that provokes resistance here, in terms of, well, this sounds good, this is all logical and everything. Okay, but you'll notice like the effect of this. You just read this, and this is how people work. Just read it, engage with it. There's nothing to see here, nothing at all. This all makes sense. We don't analyze it, and by the time you've read this, the dial has been turned to where this is all about me. They've got numerous attack vectors they can reference at a later point. That again, it's unbelievable dealing with these people, and this is just what we're doing. This is what they're up to. And again, you've got to notice these I talk about these custom built, or these specially designed. What's the verbiage I use here for these analytic techniques? Let's go back here and go back to post 103. I was thinking that I had this in here about this. But there's nothing where I'm explaining this. Okay, and you'll see here that they've employed a recipe of these, the vices of my character, the things I've said, and so forth, and so they can go into the minutia of reality testing, everything. They've got a multi-vector. It's like, let's turn the attention to me, in a way that's overtly, like an evaluation of whether I meet the bar on a 10 vector, this type of thing. Where was it? Where's it? How did I put this? How is it that I explain this? Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for my supporters, by the way. That I'm very, um, and I don't want you to be negative, Nancy, about, it just does. I'm incredibly weakened in this. Where the hell is this? Where was it that I talk about these custom built linguistic structures? Um, Well, I'm going to have to find these. You'll see here. You'll see here that part of the thing here is think of your recent memory or think of your long memory. When have you ever heard? Okay, if the term high intensity posts, in the plural or the single, high intensity posts or high intensity posts, were actually meaningful in any sense. This is a meaningful term that refers to some concrete reality. It'll be widely used. And where else have you seen this? Okay, that language is subtle and sophisticated. That's part of the, or it's very the effects it has on us. We have a mapping process, and this is something that there's a lot of secret sauce buried in linguistic constructions like this. Which you'll notice if you think about it, when have you ever heard somebody say that's a high intensity post? Okay. And you'll notice here's part of what they do, but they do too. Part of what they're doing is this is a pacing and leading strategy right here. I'll explain that one day. But they part of what they'll teach in the persuasion is you want to secure agreements on things in like a stack rank, and you want to like secure agreements on things that you can secure agreements on first, and that will help you. And according to the theory how this works, and it definitely legit, that will help you secure agreements on things that are and maybe well, this has the effect. I'm not sure. Well, they're probably that seems like what they're doing. Seems like they're definitely doing this. Okay. That they lead with this. They lead with this. They lead with this, or they pace with this, and lead with this. And this is the pace right here. That these right here, these are obviously in the hypothetical that you and of course this is going to be your concerns period, because it's what you're essentially concerned with. So you're going to be wrestling. This is what I'm concerned with. This is what I'm concerned with. And like this momentum is like you're in the mode of agreeing with what you're seeing, and so that momentum is going to be like a buffer to this thing right here. And again, they're speaking for me constantly. They want to keep going to speak for me. I never the question of settled views again. What's a settled views? My settled views. What are your settled views? So first off, your settled views that makes sense to you. You could probably say something about that, but your settled views and your views. What are the difference between those? You'll notice we have another meaningless term, and it's like hedging. What it's doing is hedging my views. There's an implicit effect here of hedging my views. Or he said, reflected temporary distress rather than your views. Okay, so that would be a quite honest. This part at least temporary distress rather than your views. Okay, that would be a quite honest framing of it. Okay, but here what they do is they add a hedge and a qualification to my views. Settled. Okay, they want to have it settled. So now we've got my settled and unsettled views. We've got a non-existent dichotomy introduced, a non-existent divide that places my views in question. Is the subtle effect that this has. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. That when I have views, that these are my views. Okay, this is part of my views. And, or if I'm asked, is this part of your views? And I say yes. And then, is this part of your settled views? Okay, it's like inherent in the notion of settled views is I have unsettled views, and this introduces like a concept of volatility and change into my views. They want to keep this item open forever of my views. So that they can just indefinitely attack me on this vector. Okay, and my well-being under stress, so it's my well-being under a terrorist supervised assault by them, under terror, torture, human rights abuses. I'm under criminal intervention of my control of my medical care, criminal crimes being perpetrated against me as it relates to my medical care, this all of these stress is again is a euphemism or a substitute for that a salient element to me of anyone who knows the circumstances that I'm facing, who's reviewed my evidence, who's some portion of my evidence that I've talked to, and they've come to see that the truth of what's happened to me. They're not going to report to this if they're asked by someone else what's going on here. They're not going to report. We got somebody under stress. We got somebody on Twitter under stress. Okay, this stress is they substitute these these euphemistic terms that are euphemistic in the way that they flatter them. Now that you may, she may hope that it restores your functioning and that you'll allow yourself time to recover. Okay, restores my functioning. Okay, may hope it restores my functioning. This introduces a question of, will this medication restore my functioning? We're going to hope about this. Okay, it's like it's like we hope for things that are uncertain. And this is again that they're hedging. There's a subtle restores my functioning. Okay, hopes restores my functioning. That there's all kinds of stuff embedded in this that and that you allow yourself time to recover. Okay, so now me recovering is a function of me allowing myself to time. Okay, what's needed for me is time to recover, and I've got to give myself time somehow. Okay, you'll notice again they're putting the focus on me that it's not that it restores your functioning and these people stop criminally pounding you. It's not now that you retain your attention. She may hope that it has not been criminally tampered with for the fifth or sixth time. How many times they've done this. The way that's going to be detrimental to you. Because she knows she understands. She knows that this is a critical medication for you. Instead of this, it restores my functioning. And so, what if it doesn't restore my functioning? What's when we're keeping hope alive, and what's going to happen when the hope disappears? That this is this hedging stuff. This hedging my medication, hedging about. She may look forward to seeing you having better functioning, able to function better, and stuff like this. And again, I'm not discounting any of your concerns. I'm talking about that. And of course, maybe this sounds like something that could be literally phrased in terms of how you see it, and I would be interesting to know that. Allow myself time to recover. I've got to keep them off the offensive. I've got to keep them. Me recovering involves them not putting their crimes against me. But now it's like I've not allowed myself time. I've not allowed myself time. Again, I don't think you use these. If this is a general concern for you, this general sentiment. I don't think you use the precise language that I allow myself time to recover. Okay, because that I take time to recover, and taking time to recover, it's like that conveys something quite a bit different. That when I allow myself time to recover, it's like I'm not budgeting myself appropriately. I'm not, it's like a budget type of thing. But if I take time to recover, and I'm getting kind of into the nuances here. But taking time to recover, that's like that registers that triggers into the same like interpretive category. It seems to me, and how that's parsed is like taking time is like taking a vacation. Taking a vacation at work. It's like you take a vacation at work. You take time off when things are quiet. Okay, that when you're in the battlefield, that this casts the attention away from them, and it subtly imposes the responsibility of my recovery on me when the stress of their nonstop abuse is what's killing me. She may concern about how this has affected you emotionally and physically. As your well-being and stress. Not intentionally, of course, that's a very, I'm incredibly good for these concerns. And that may have addressed that. Okay, and see here, they're idling us again. They're putting this question back open. They're opening this question again. That you'll notice it's not settled. You told her they did, and you've been consistently truthful, or you told her they did, which again, I never said. I never talked to you. I don't have a concept of settled and unsettled views. I have my views that emanate. A lot of these core views emanate from who I fundamentally am. When something emanates from who you fundamentally are, they're not going to change. I don't have a settled and unsettled version of who I fundamentally am. Okay, that they start again. They're introducing a hedging and a volatility into my views. My views are under question here. And here, notice the very, very, very like watered down impacts that what I did not say. Okay, but I did address these. But what I said, we'll substitute what I said for this. You told her, so I said what I said. I didn't say what their words are not my words. They don't speak for me. And of course, they could quote me verbatim in a way that's honest. And be objective. That's always a possibility anybody has, but they never do that. And part of their enterprise is they want to speak for me every time. They want to speak for me behind my back. They want to do this is crazy. So here, what I said It may have, so it's like there's a hedge here. Um, um, it's not likely have. Okay, they don't like shift the probability forward. That's more likely not. Should have, would have. There's nothing. There's no certainly. It's like there's a hedge there, and it's not even that it addressed that concern, but it's like much of that concern. Okay, so they want to like have a weighted average thing here, whereas like we've still got a wide open hole in this concern. It's what they're introducing into the picture here. They're introducing this through a suggestibility. Is what they're doing here. And again, this is not foolproof. And this is part of what they do is that they'll in this persuasion stuff, they teach you add suggestible elements and add other elements. They pile on elements like this that this does. It's like this. You read this and you can't just not see it when you read it. It's something that can have a subtle effect when piled on with the rest of their stuff. And so it's like again, this whole thing. This is what they this is what they do, and yeah, that's that. And so again, keep their words off the scene. I'll be implementing something where we can talk. I'll give you some other options. I'll think of options that I want something that works for you, but I will show you how that you can uh, um, um, how that you can um, 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 or I'll show you how this page that was on our website for you to be able to communicate to me. What it'll be a page. You'll have a UI to submit a message. You can submit a keyword if you want to. You don't have to. If you don't want to, and I'll be able to with the keyword especially, even without a keyword, I'll be able to do so with all the different concerns. Um, pretty damn reliably that they've studied the hell out of me. They might be able to throw a false positive on me that identifies your concerns. Of course, I'll be posting on Twitter the answers with the questions, and but I'll do a demo. I'll show you the back end of my website how it does not get logged, and I'll also demonstrate to you if I can, whatever I come up with to implement a security feature. That I would have a security feature that what happens is the server data hits the server every time. The web browser data hits the server every time. It's just a matter of am I going to log it or not? And what I can do is I can have it held in suspension in the server without being logged, and for a period of time. And if the pattern indicates like some kind of malicious pattern, then that triggers a a logging of the data in a way that would never apply to you because you're obviously not a web hacker. Okay, something like that. But I may not even. I probably won't even. Unless I start getting attacks sent to me. I will not. Probably won't even. Won't even implement that. And here's what I could do. Here's what I could do. Here's what I could do. This is how would this work? I was thinking about this because once I've got a submission that's legitimately you. I was thinking, but I won't do this. But I was thinking I could like a hash your IP address or something like this, or hash some kind of parameters or something to and the point of that would be to make a record that's tied to you that would never ever be remotely traceable back to you. You know, but I'll show you what I do, and it will be a very efficient way for us to communicate because they've got this process. I'll talk over this some more. That their influence is all over the place in this process with you, with my second group of primary supporters. That everything is designed for their advantage, and it just doesn't happen by accident. And they've already explained to me, and like I've showed you in some of these things, they've already explained to me, some of the things that they employ, the questions and the statements and the suggestions that they make, and they're just really really potent with engineered effects.